And good evening, it is Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews now too. It is Saturday the 31st of May, I believe, 2025. Just had to double check that, it is the last day of May. That's gone by really quickly. Hopefully you can hear me and or see me. If you can, please let me know in the chat. That would be very much appreciated. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day, morning, evening, whatever. And hopefully you're enjoying the weather. Although the weather here has not been particularly great. Some of us in the UK have actually had some pretty decent weather. Here in Bristol, it's been okay. It's been a little bit overcast. It's actually been still very windy. All week pretty much has been just like really windy, which is not great. Yeah, but there you go. It is what it is. At least it means if you're not out in the garden sunbathing, you're inside on your computer, either playing games or faffing around, which I have been doing lots of that this week. For my sins. It's not been great. There's been some highs and there's been some lows, and we'll talk about some of those with you today. Hopefully you will enjoy the cacophony of conversation that happens on our Saturday live streams. If you're new here and wondering what the hell is going on, it's just a very informal, relaxed, kind of almost just like being down in the pub with your mates, just obviously just a little bit further apart. You're more than welcome to join in, talk trash in the chat if you want. If you disagree with anything I say, or if you agree, let us know. Your comments are always welcome, and I do read the chat, regardless if you are a newbie, a long-time member, whatever. There's no rules of entry. Just post a comment, and if I think it's worthwhile speaking about, then I will reply. It's kind of, I guess that's how things work in general. Also, some general housekeeping this week. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure that everything is okay. Rick says, I've refreshed and the audio is a little bit out of sync. Okay. Kath's having a look on her screen now. Yeah. Is it alright? No, it's out. Kath's having a look on her screen now. Is it alright?
Slightly out, isn't it?
It is slightly out. Right, I will kill OBS. Bear with me one moment. Here we go. We'll see if that's any better. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me and or, well, you can probably hear me, but am I in sync now? Is that better? Much better. There you go. Yeah, I thought there might be a slight problem, because when I started doing, what did I do? I moved a window. Ah, that's what it is. I moved the YouTube panel thing over onto that monitor, and as I did, I heard like, you know, sometimes when you unplug or plug a monitor in, you hear that kind of almost like a click from Windows. I heard that on that monitor, and I was like, well, what's happened there? That's not right. And I think doing that, it must have changed the audio sources or something, and because it does it for like a brief millisecond, that's probably what put the audio out. Anyway, there you go. O'Reilly says, Mike's live streams, to quote, in the style of Forrest Gump, it's like a box of chocolates. I don't know what tech surprises Mike will give us before the day. Yes. It's very true. Good to see you all in the chat. I
miss William Bodie.
I miss William Bodie in the chat. Where's William Bodie? Come on, get with it. Anyway, what was I going to say? Hey, housekeeping. Let's make sure that everything's working first. So we've got the main camera. Obviously, yeah, that is working okay now. The overhead camera, you can probably see. And also, we've got the new mouse mat, or desk pad, whatever you want to call it. Just in case you can't see, or you don't know what the channel is, or you can't make out the logo, for those that may be, I can't even say it. For those of you that might be partially sighted, hopefully now you know exactly who we are and what we're doing. Anyway, so yeah, there's our new mouse pad. Stream desktop, hopefully you can just about see that. Yep, that is working. Webcam we've not connected, so we're all good. There you go. So, other parts of housekeeping, some deals that are on at the moment. One of the reasons why I'm showing you the desk pad is there is actually a special offer on. Our good friends over at Technically Stable have got an offer on at the moment. So buy 2 desk pads, you get the third one free. And if you spend over £50, you get free shipping as well. So potentially if you add 2 mouse mats to your basket, you can get a third one free. Now you can choose any designs you want from their extensive range, and also various sizes. There's the 900 by 400, there's 800 by something, I'm not too sure what the other size is. and there's a small one for kind of like just mice alone. But yeah, if you want a mouse pad, desk pad, whatever you want to call it, they are currently on offer. And I'll put the link in the chat, which, oh, that's what I forgot to do. Yeah, that's got an exclamation mark. I knew I forgot to do something.
I've got to put that in.
Right, bear with me a moment. No, I have not set this up. Oh, where are we going? That one there. Massive airflow, there we go. Massive airflow. Sorry, I knew there was something I've forgotten to do. And I was absolutely right. So that should work now. That's the Discord link. I've pressed the wrong button. It's all going very, very well. Honestly. Desk pad link. There we go. So you can head over to Technically Stable. So it's technicallystable.com. You can put all the other bump in if you want to. Essentially, use the discount code Mike. That's M-I-K-E, not M-I-C.
Or M-A-R-K.
Yeah, or Mark. Don't use that either. Yeah, put that in and you'll get a further discount on your pads. I think it's 10 or 20%. I'm not entirely sure. It'll tell you when you go to checkout. But if you do that, we get a very small kickback off of purchases, so it helps the channel. So if you want to buy something for yourself and also help us out a little bit, then you're more than welcome to do that. It is excellent. The mouse pads or desk pads have now, if you've bought one previously, which we have, obviously, the new ones seem to be a higher quality. The stitching is much, much finer and closer to the edge, so that is a nice thing. And also, they seem to be a lot more flexible, like supple, which I like in a mouse pad, and it's actually very smooth. Even though I'm using this kind of pretty old crappy mouse, it does slide around quite nicely. So if you have thought about getting one of these previously and you haven't, then I would strongly suggest now is a good time. Obviously, you've got the deals on. Buy two, get the third one free effectively. And you don't have to have it with Mike's unboxing on it. You can if you want to. The links for these are in our Discord for the images, or if you want one, I think you can ask Technically Stable and they'll put it on there for you. Alternatively, you can choose from one of their many, many designs. I think they've got about 600 designs on their site. So if you're into carp, cars, anime, basically anything you can think of, there's tons of things there, various different locations. Or alternatively, if you've got a really nice picture on your computer that you really like, or maybe with Father's Day coming up, you want to buy a mouse pad or desk pad for your Father's Day gift to give to someone, for myself, yeah, you can just do a family picture and give that to your father figure in your life. I'm sure he'll be appreciated of it. Or just get a massive set of Norks. Who cares? Print whatever you want. They'll print pretty much anything. So that is excellent stuff if you want to get involved with that. Our portier's become a supporter. Thank you very much for becoming a supporter of the channel. It's much appreciated. If you're a supporter, you don't get many benefits. I'll be completely honest with you. Now, the reason behind this, actually, we had this discussion this week. There has been the odd complaint about some people getting early access to videos, which I kind of get. We don't want to have any content behind a paywall. And for that reason, every video that we make always gets released primarily to Patreon, because we started doing Patreon before we did members. Then it goes to YouTube members, and then finally it goes to general public release. The videos that we do generally aren't particularly time sensitive. So we aren't a news channel, for a start. We do obviously talk about the news and things going on in the news. Mostly we do that in our live streams. I don't do dedicated videos on it because I just don't enjoy doing it, to be honest with you. So many other channels do it so much better, so why bother cluttering up the feeds with even more of that dross? I'd rather just do what we do. So if you do join members or Patreon, you do get early access. There isn't really much benefit, other than sometimes if there are deals on, sometimes they expire, but that's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. There's not a great deal I can do about it. We do have to generate some income to keep things going, keep one of the lights on at least, which is helpful for us and obviously beneficial for you. But you don't get, or you don't lose any content by not being a member or supporting us in some way, shape or form. It's very cheap as well. I think the very minimum you can get away with is like $2.50 a month at Patreon. or even YouTube. I think Patreon might be £1 a month or £2 a month you can do. So it's really inexpensive. It's less than a cup of coffee in most places, or less than a donut or whatever. I don't know. So potentially, if you do want to get the videos early, it's fantastic. It helps us out, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we do all that stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to address that. There's no content which you don't get to see eventually. You get to see all of it.
And you get a chance to win donations.
And also, yeah, if you're involved in our live streams, you also get the chance to win or be given channel memberships via our very, very kind viewers. And also YouTube allows us to give away a certain amount every month as well. So we can do that. And actually, have we got any we can do now?
Yeah, let's do 5 now.
We give away 5 memberships now. So if you're potentially one of those people that is a little bit disgruntled with it, then you never know, maybe you'll get one. So, Ordinary Dude's been given a membership. Also, Martin Coleman, Mark Offsky's not there. Sacktown Clang, nice. Pepsi, and Gary One Eye. Nice. So there you go. There's some memberships. So you'll get slightly earlier access. It's not a massive deal, but yeah, every little helps, as they say. So just wanted to address that. What else was I going to address? There's many things on my mind. There's too many things going on in my mind, to be fair.
Before we get too far,
yeah.
Stephen says, "Hey, watching you from a lovely new MSI 1080 27-inch 180Hz monitor."
Ah, awesome. Nice one, Stephen. Yeah, the monitor which I used to have there, which I don't have there anymore. It's a long story behind that as well.
And Greg M. Sorry, got a reply from MSI support regarding the 1990s style Wi-Fi antennas they use on some of their motherboards.
All right.
I have to go into the screaming room here and let loose. I'm not sure.
So Greg M, yeah, sorry I got a reply from MSI support regarding 90s style Wi-Fi antennas they used to use on some of their motherboards. I had to go into the screaming room here and let loose. I think I want to know more about that. That sounds quite intriguing. You have a slurp of my drink a minute. There we go. Right. Actually, yeah, that's what I was going to do. For technically stable, I'm sorry, but I am shilling here. So let's go to the overhead camera. Actually, did I press that? No, I haven't yet. Don't worry. Let's have a look. So if you are thinking of buying from technically stable, which I actually strongly suggest you do, because they are very good quality and it makes a nice gift as well. So if you purchase a mouse pad or desk pad from technically stable, this is the kind of the unboxing experience. So you get everything. It looks like it's like in a barn type thing, hence stable, farm stable, etc. There's various kind of amusing things on the box. So warning, excessive exposure to video games is great and fragile-ish. And in there it says recycled nonsense. And obviously you've got a technically stable logo on there. They've got rip open boxes. And when you open it, basically you get this. So the world is, and you can put in your own expletive there if you want to. But at least we have technically stable. So this is the kind of thing you get. You also get a air freshener, which is an orange scent. Now they do that because obviously when you're using rubber-based products, they've got a slight aroma to them, which isn't always great. So they just put an air freshener in there just to make the mouse pad or desk pad just smell a little bit nicer. And also you can then hang that up on your PC or do whatever you want to. You can actually buy these separately as well, should you actually wish to. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take mine out and I'm going to hang it on my PC. There we go. Kath don't like it. I'm not sure what chemicals are used on there. Hopefully it's a natural orange essence, but I doubt it. Inside the box you get some weird stuff. Actually, let me put it on the overhead camera and you'll see what I'm actually seeing for myself. Actually,
interrupt a minute.
You can interrupt.
Des60.
Hey Des.
What do you think about Leanne Lee wireless fans? I'm thinking about getting some.
I honestly don't think they're worth the money, but if you like them, you don't want to, well, if you're not a person who has limited funds, then yeah, I think they're absolutely awesome. They're a great idea. But for me, they're a little bit on the pricey side to give any real value. But if you've got the money and you like the look of them, hey, why not? That's what PC modding and customization is all about.
Thomas Somhat says, hi, I love your vids, Mike. Thanks for all the details. I've got a load of things you unboxed.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Thomas. Much appreciated. Nice to see you in the chat. Viali says, Mike, did you get them? No, not yet. I am working on it. Right, inside the box. It comes in recycled cardboard inside, packaging, and also you get some freebies as well. So you get a technically stable sticker. I think there's actually a couple of them in here somewhere. I've actually ordered a couple of these, so they might have not put stickers on all of them. So you get a little technically stable sticker. I think there's a third one as well. Yep, there is. So you get 3 stickers, so you can put those wherever you want to. And also they come with ducks. Little ducks, which may or may not be a thing that you appreciate. I think there's 5 or 6 ducks in here. So again, all part of the kind of the stable thing, the farmyard, is kind of all playing on that type of thing. So yeah, in terms of value adds, like these obviously not really worth anything, but it's kind of cool. The stickers, if you want to use them, they're there.
They're a barn when you say farmyard.
Yeah, farm barns. It's a stable, you know. Also, you get the mouse pad comes with some cable wraps.
Yeah, you didn't get any ducks with those.
Oh, did you not? Sometimes they run out of ducks. No ducks are given. So you get a couple of these technically stable tie wraps. So you can use those. They're pretty handy for cable management purposes. I actually use these to hold the power supplies up on the back of my monitor arm. Jason Woods come in with a £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Jason. Much appreciated. Thank you, sir. Let's give you a little thumbs up there and a heart. He says, party, party, party. Bless, we miss Bob. Oh, no, it was disco, disco, disco. Very close. Right. The actual mouse pad itself, and this is going to be no surprise to anyone, but hopefully, no, it was a 50-50 and I've gone the wrong way. So this is essentially the same again. So I have a spare. I've actually bought a few of these for various reasons. I've got a couple of cat's hairs on them already. And yeah, so there you go. And they are very supple. They just lie flat pretty much straight away. There's a very, very slight curl at the end, but it's barely noticeable. And they're very light, very nice. The print quality is excellent. And well, again, obviously depending on what you choose to actually have on your particular desk pad, it may look absolutely stunning. It may be practical. You may have just a small logo of your favorite football team or whatever, just tucked away in the corner. It's entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want.
Markovsky. I couldn't tell the difference between a barn and a stable, so I moved to Barnstable.
That's pretty good. So yeah, these little tie wraps are actually quite handy. I have got a bunch of them somewhere actually. I think Dave Aiken gave me a load ages ago. And multicoloured ones.
No RGB mouse mat, no sales.
Now, funny enough, somebody did actually ask if they're going to do RGB mouse mats in one of their live streams. And they did say it is a possibility, but it's also prohibitively expensive. So, yeah, potentially that might not happen. But yeah, these are really good. And if I get my old one, which is...
Guy Stalker says, mine looks different. I have motherboard access on mine. So that's this one as well.
So yeah, you've got this one. So these are a slightly different quality. So the stitching's larger at the edges, more visible. And they take a little bit longer to flatten out. So the new ones are of a arguably higher quality. Not saying that the old ones aren't good quality, because they very much are, and I've had it for a while, but the new ones have just taken it up a notch. So if you are or have been on the fence previously about getting one, the current batch of stock is absolutely fantastic. And again, if you want to get a Mike's Unboxing one, you can do. The logos are available on our Discord. Entirely up to you. Right, back to the main camera. Knackered already. Right, there was something else I had to shill for. What else did I have to shill for?
Premium CD keys. We did that
Premium
last week,
CD keys. I'm not sure if I've done this already. I might have done this last week. I'm not sure.
It's gone up to 10% now.
The discount. Oh,
Yeah.
the discount. They're not underneath the desk twisting my nuts to make me say this.
Chef's back.
Hey, Sinister Chef.
We missed you.
How you doing? Premium CD keys. I'll put the link in the chat. So premium CD keys, the discount code now is 10%. So a bit more than what it was previously. Also, some of their prices have come down. But best of all, they are currently selling the Enterprise and LTSC versions of Windows 11. And this week I made I made a video of how to install Windows 11 Enterprise Edition. Now you're probably thinking, well Mike, why would I even want Windows 11 Enterprise? That's a very good question. The LTSC version is very, very stripped down and doesn't get the feature updates and stuff, and it's basically like a long-term thing, mostly designed for things like fridge freezers, IoT devices. It's basically stuff that you're going to turn on, just leave it running for 10 years or whatever and just forget about it. Whereas Windows 11 Enterprise is basically the Windows 11 that you kind of know and love to some extent, but it has less of the bloat. Now don't get me wrong, there is still some in there, but you can remove most of it. But the best thing is, as a default from the out-of-box experience, you don't have to have a Microsoft account because it's an Enterprise Edition, so it's not supposed to have it. And also, best of all, there is no Microsoft telemetry actually baked into the operating system, because the Enterprise Edition is basically waiting for the Enterprise owner to configure all of their own telemetry stuff. So in terms of if you like Windows 11, but the telemetry stuff kind of really bothers you, and the excessive bloatware and things like your Clipchamp and all that kind of stuff, you don't want that, then the Enterprise Edition is the one for you. It's also slightly more secure on a technical level, a few more protections built in. So in future, every single Windows 11 PC I do will definitely be an Enterprise Edition. I will not be using Home or Pro anymore. Enterprise is the way forward. It is slightly more expensive, but if you use the discount code Mike's Unboxing or Mike's Unboxing 10, you can get a Windows 11 Enterprise license key for less than £5 or €5, I think it is, sorry. So it works out about £4 something. So still insanely good value for money, but the Enterprise Edition is the way to go. Let's go. Thomas, yes.
So it's like, yes, I use premium CD keys, thanks.
Good on you, Thomas.
And I'm going for a third. Would he be better off going for a Windows 10 if he's doing it?
Yeah, if you're buying Windows, if you want to install Windows 11 Professional, get the Windows 10 Professional license keys. They're considerably cheaper, and 10 will activate 11. So if you're buying multiple keys, you're going to save a lot more money. So you'll be looking at about €3.50, I think, for the Windows 10 Professional license key. Take off your 10% discount, it's probably going to take it down to about €3, thereabouts, €3.20. Math was never my thing. Yeah, so I think the Windows 11 Pro keys are about €7 or €8. So either go for the Enterprise Edition, although you might want to wait until my video comes on how to install it, because there is a little bit of a difference for installing.
It cost us $4.53 and 12p transaction fee. Premium CD.
No, how much?
£4.53.
£4.53 plus 12. So about, yeah, so about £4.70-ish for an Enterprise license key, which is awesome.
£4.65.
Markovsky says I use Enterprise LTSC. See, the LTSC version is a different version. I don't like the LTSC. I think that's too stripped down, and also you don't get the updates, which some people do want, the feature updates. I personally do quite enjoy seeing new features being rolled out into Windows, but the LTSC doesn't get the feature updates, it just gets the security patches. Either way, choice is yours. premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing. Use discount code Mike's Unboxing or Mike's Unboxing 10 and buy whichever you want. LTSC, Enterprise, or just the standard Home or Pro editions, and you will save an absolute fortune. You really will. There we go. Dave Aiken says, I had my first bad code from Premium CD Keys yesterday. Must have ordered 30 plus keys. Not too bad. Hopefully they refund. They'll either refund or they'll send you a new key.
Has he contacted them?
Yeah, if you contact them, normally within like 5 minutes they'll send a new key.
Not even that, most of the time.
Markovsky says I like stripped to the bone. Okay, fair enough. I do and I don't. Sometimes there's features in Windows I actually quite like using, or I do use, like the Windows Store. I do use that. OneDrive I do sometimes now and then, not always. Yeah, most of the things I generally tend not to, but I find the LTSC or the IoT LTSC to be a little bit too restricted. Rain. Hey, there's Lucky Man. How you doing, Lucky Man? Rain is falling. Rain, hello. Just got here. I have a question. Is buying a key from a shop that is in a different region okay? Will it activate? Yes. If you go to premiumcdkeys.com, actually, I'll show you now. Just so you can see. So, premium CDs.
Hello, Dave.
Premium CD keys. Let's go to stream desktop.
Got food.
I think that's the one. So yeah, if you go to, say for instance, let's go to software, and for argument's sake, Windows 11 Pro. So if you click on this, or buy now, so you'll see in most of these, it'll say that it's a global. Well, it doesn't always say it, but generally they will do. Yeah, normally it'll say, if it isn't global, then it will actually tell you. Let me see, where did I see it recently? Because I actually did pay attention to that the other day. Did I? It might have been on the Enterprise. I'm for Enterprise. That's LTSC. Oh yeah, that's the one no, that's not it. That's the one I was using. They've changed the layout. So yeah, here it says region global. So Windows 11 Enterprise CD key global. €5.99 for Windows 11, global digital key, blah, 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 in stock. And there's all the information. So global, so it will basically activate anywhere. So yeah, you got no worries with that at all.
You're going to come and say hello?
There's Davey. Hey, Davey. Skystalker says, I had one problem with premium CD keys. They had it resolved 5 minutes after I contacted them via email. Sky, you could have probably gone round to their office because they are actually based in Canada. I believe they're in Toronto. Might be a bit of a trek for you. But yeah, premium CD keys, their office. Dave, don't eat the camera.
Elvis in against it.
They are a Canada-based company, so if you want to support Canadian companies, because we generally like Canada, Canada's a pretty cool place. So if you want to support Canadian company and also you want to get a decent deal and also you want good technical support and all that kind of stuff, then yeah. Sky says, lol, 3,500 kilometers away. Oh. You added too many zeros there. That sounds like a really long way. What did Rasher say?
I will be purchasing one of your linked Windows keys for my new build. Can you explain to a novice?
Nice one, Rasher.
Me, why is the Enterprise Edition better?
Right. The Enterprise Edition is, well, for you personally, I know we have similar views on spying and all that kind of stuff. So the Enterprise Edition basically is the more lockdown version because it's designed to be basically put out, if you work in an office, if you're in a reasonable sized office, they will have like a central server and there'll be someone's job to kind of make sure that everyone's Windows image has got their software and all that kind of stuff in. It's just basically tailored to the organization. So they might only have one browser. They might have limited access to certain areas of the operating system, which you can configure. But if you buy the Enterprise Edition for installing, essentially what it's going to do is the Microsoft telemetry that all runs in the background will be extremely minimal if there's any at all. I don't think there's any at all. I did do a very brief check and it doesn't seem that there's any. So the bulk of the kind of outgoing stuff from Microsoft is basically taken out of the Enterprise Edition. That is why they made it for enterprise users or business users. And also, like I said, it doesn't contain all of the bloat. Generally, it will get fixes as normal, but sometimes the general Windows updates, like the feature updates, may be rolled out slightly slower. So if there's any bugs or issues, then they'll potentially... Sorry, that's really distracting me. Sometimes if there's updates that are due out, you'll maybe get them slightly after the general public. So the general public can be like the beta testers, because obviously Microsoft don't want to piss off their business customers too much. So that is why they do that a little bit after. Hopefully that answers your question.
And Rain says it's cheaper than Pro. Is there reasons that make miss out on? anything they're missing out on it?
No,
Go back to that.
the Enterprise Edition is basically the full Windows 11 professional version minus the crap. Mick Woods coming with a super chat. Thank you very much, Mick Woods. £20 there. Thank you very much for the donation. That is very cool. It says, "Heyo, it's ice cool Peroni time." Nice. I might have to crack out the Foster Shandies in a minute. Could do with something a little bit cooler.
Stood on you.
Thank you very much. Arnold G says Pro W World Region. I'm not sure what you're asking there.
Can it be used in other places?
Basically unless it says specifically on the Premium CD Keys page that you're buying the software from, if it says a specific region, that is because it is region locked. There's very, very few pieces of software which are region locked. And if you want the Office software as well, they do Windows, I think it's Office 2021, I think is the common one at the moment. Or is it like Office 365? I'll have to look now.
And Firestorm?
Office.
Will win.
Yeah, Office 2021 is €12 at the moment.
Will Win Enterprise work on unsported old CPU for laptop?
Yes, if you watch the video, which is out, I think will be out shortly. We'll try and get this one out a little bit earlier. So to install the Enterprise Edition, normally you would need to be in an office environment and they would actually kind of force the install from a server, or they would have a dedicated team who have the kind of installation images. Now obviously because you're buying Enterprise but you are not an Enterprise as such, there's a slightly different way of installing Windows. So you still use the media creation tool and download that to your desktop to create an image, but the important bit is you actually put a little bit of a string on the end of the media creator tool to tell it that you actually want the Enterprise ISO, not the standard retail one. And then when that starts, it asks you for your license key. So you actually need the license key in advance, whereas previously on Windows versions, you can install your Windows and then put your key in after. But with the Enterprise Edition, you have to have a license key prior to starting the installation. That's very important. So that is a caveat. Again, I have done a full video that will be coming out very, very shortly. We might even bring other videos or push other videos back and get that out on Monday. So if you are considering it, feel free to do it now. The price won't change, but maybe wait till you've seen the video on Monday or Tuesday.
Thomas also asked, is the mouse mats, or I think it was Thomas, technically stable? Is that listed in our YouTube? And it is always in our video description.
Yeah, technically stable links are in every one of our video links and also on our Discord. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. So if you're on a mobile phone or something, you can't access it now, just fire up a video. It's basically, I think it's the second or third link down in almost every video.
Where's Nick Barnes?
Nick Barnes, yeah, where is Nick Barnes? That's a very good question. Not seeing him today, actually.
And F says, love you, I'm an expert in BIOS flashback, thanks to you.
BIOS flashbacks, yes. We do like a good BIOS flashback video. Hey, David Underhill, how are you? David Summerhill when you're recording in. David Underhill, how are you? David Underhill Foster's is the UK name for horse beer. How dare you?
Actually, it was rain, it wasn't, Thomas.
Arnold G says, when you boot, it asks you region and debloats if you're not USA or UK. Yeah, you can choose the world region. When you're doing a Windows 11 installation, you can choose world as your region. It basically gives you the option to get rid of a lot of stuff as well. So it's slightly less bloated. There's lots of different reasons and methods. I personally quite like the Enterprise Edition. I don't know why, it feels different. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but I did the installation on this PC. Oh, cheers, Jason. Thanks for dropping in, and thanks for the donation. I did the installation this week on this PC behind me, which has been running Windows 11 Pro, and it's also relatively well debloated because of the videos we've done on that already. I actually have done a reasonably fresh install on it not that long ago. So it's a pretty new operating system, and I installed Enterprise on there, and it felt snappier. Whether it's because there's less background tasks for telemetry, etc., I don't know. Maybe it's placebo. I don't know. I've got no real way of testing it, although Cinebench scores are slightly better. Yes, Kath?
Rain says, does the Keys website have Apple Pay for an easy pay method?
I'm not sure. I'll have a look. Hang on. Payment methods. Just do add to cart. Proceed to payment. So, payment options are Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Diners Card, and JCB, or whatever that is. You can also use Stripe. So some countries like to use Stripe. You can also use crypto, so you can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., etc. So Dogecoin even they'll take. And if you use Skrill, you can use Visa, Electron, MasterCard. Not sure what that one is. There's like 20 or so different things. I don't think you can use Apple Pay, as far as I know. There is a lot of options there. I'm just trying to look this a bit small on the screen. No, I cannot see Apple Pay.
Welly Bob wants to know what's happened to your white monitor.
The white monitor, so again, going back to the video that I did this week on the Windows 11 Enterprise Edition, I had the monitor set up, it was 1080p, the white one, which is normally there, or has been there. And because I do the tutorials on this PC, but I actually do the video capture on that PC. So it basically runs HDMI cable into a splitter box, and it just sends the signal to my PC over there into a capture card. So it basically replicates whatever's on there, because if you're using things like OBS or Camtasia Studio, when you get things like the Windows account, whatever it is, you know, user account control, when you get those pop-ups, devices can't record that. So that's why I just record the raw footage on a separate PC, especially like for BIOS videos, because most capture cards obviously won't work in DOS or BIOS, so you have to use an external capture, which I generally do. The mistake I made is I had my captured card set to 4K, which is what I normally do the videos in, but because this was running 1080p, it wasn't upscaling properly. So when I stretch the footage on the screen, it looks really fringy. So the quality of the recording is actually very poor, because I've gone from 1080p, which is also kind of compressed a little bit as well. And when it upscales to 4K, it just looked awful. So I thought, right, I can't afford to keep making those mistakes, because it took me hours to make the video. So I thought, right, I'll go back to my 4K monitor. I know where I stand with that. And also, part of the other reason as well was a cosmetic thing. White items in this room don't last very long. They go very off-white. And I thought, because it's a really nice monitor, I'm going to use it in the other room. So when we have people around to look at PCs, etc., I'm just going to use that monitor there, because it looks really slick and it looks really nice, and yeah, it's a nice monitor. So I'm saving it for best kind of thing. And I've gone back to this old Jalopy, which is not really a nice monitor to look at. Well, it is, but it's not as nice. It's only 60 Hertz, but it is a 4K screen. So for video purposes, it's fantastic. And yeah, it's just another thing I don't have to worry about changing resolutions and stuff when I'm doing recordings. So that is the reason behind it. Anyway, there you go. Skystalker says, I prefer PayPal, but yeah, that's a shame. I really wish... Premium CD Keys, I had this conversation with them a little while back about why did they stop doing PayPal. And they said because so many people were basically just saying that they didn't get a key. Now, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it got to the point where there were so many people trying it on or using like dodgy PayPal accounts, and PayPal automatically decides with the customer rather than the retailer. So they were losing tons of money, and a lot of companies, especially here in the UK, which previously would take PayPal as a payment, have now stopped doing it.
But then PayPal was shutting a lot of people's accounts
so,
for no
yeah.
reason.
Too many scammers, yeah. It is a shame. It really is. I think you can, I believe, with Premium CD Keys, you can create your own account and you can save your details on there. So if you don't want to keep on getting your card out every time, you can just go in, create an account, and you can obviously put your details in it, and it will remember it in the cloud, so to speak. Well, technically it'd be a PIN number, because I think it saves it as your local storage on your device. So you have to type in, like Windows comes up and says, "Is this really you?" Type in your PIN, you get that. Anyway. Yeah, Amazon doesn't take PayPal for exactly that reason. And also, I guess Amazon and PayPal are basically competing companies in terms of Amazon have their own credit card facilities. So Yeah. I'm not sure if they ever did take PayPal. I think they did it in the very early days, possibly.
Who's that?
Amazon. I'm sure they used to take PayPal at one point. At least here in the UK, I'm sure they did. Andy Archer sent 5 Mike's Unboxing reviews and how to gift memberships. Thank you very much, Andy.
Ah, sorry. I'm struggling.
Just had to wake Kath up there.
I'm trying to read all this stuff, but Maisie's fighting. She keeps trying to.
Hey, there's a name I haven't seen for a while. Knee Rasher. Tom Nee received a gift membership. Mike Gibbs as well. Kath's friend.
That's it, do you reckon?
Don't know. Vulgar 999. And who's it? Mitch UK. What, I can't pronounce that.
Right, Maisie,
I'm not going to try it. Yeah, Skystalker says, I asked Premium CD Keys myself. They said they were in dispute. Yeah, I think that is the thing. Like, they must be owed quite a lot of money for keys, which they haven't had. Or people have tried to kind of reverse the money or whatever. Which is a real faff. It really is.
Using that.
Anton Van Tonder says, time to watch a movie. I'll watch the Antec unboxing late after. No worries. Aletta says, I always use a prepaid debit card. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Firestorm says, I like PayPal Pay in 3. Yeah, I know actually. There are some benefits of PayPal, and to be fair, we use PayPal and have done for many years. What are you doing, Maisie? Getting your box? Do you want your other box? Shall I get it? Or?
It's gone, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. Come on, Maisie, settle down.
She keeps standing on my keyboard, I can't keep up.
Aletta says there's no good movies anymore. This is true. Sorry, lucky man. Yeah, you missed that again. Unfortunately. Right, another quick shill. This I don't know whether it's going to be interesting or not. There was another deal which was posted on our Discord this week, and it was for this. A portable video projector. And a stand. So this is actually listed in the video descriptions. If you want to check it out, you can do. I'm not sure if it's everywhere, but it's a company called Yoton, or Yonto, or sorry, Yoton or Yoton. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yoton. So this is a 720p, but can upscale to 1080p projector. It's very well. I would say it's very quiet. It's very small, very portable. It takes HDMI inputs. It's basically 27 quid. It's be fair, I'm not expecting a great deal of this. If you're expecting miracles from a £27 projector, then you probably need to reevaluate your life. But for £27, I thought, well, we'll take a gamble. And I did say on the Discord, like, hopefully we get some decent donations on the stream to make this pay for itself, because I haven't got the highest of expectations, let's be fair. I've got a projector up there which is like about 300 quid's worth, and I never use it. So it was a wasted investment. But whereas with this, you think, well, I'm probably not going to use it, but for the sake of like just under 30 quid, it's quite fun to have a mess around with. So it's got a lens cap on there, and it is obviously very compact. It's absolutely tiny. I'm going to get my 6-inch ruler out because I don't think it's any bigger than that. And it's not, no. So it's about 5.5 inches. And sideways, we're looking at just over 4 inches. And height-wise, we're looking at about 2 inches. So it is extremely small. Comes with a power brick.
You like being at the cinema.
Yeah, kind of being like at the cinema. Comes with an HDMI cable, so there's a couple of quid back. Also comes with some swabs. I'll never forget Skystalker when he got swabbed when it was COVID time, and we were having a live chat on our Discord, which we used to do back in the day. And the nurse came in and said, "Right, we've got to do a swab," and we had the camera rolling.
Probably longer than that.
And I think it was double the length of that.
And it disappeared.
And she basically had it in it, and it kind of went in, it disappeared. It was like, we were all watching, like, where the hell did that go? It's like, must have been like cleaning out the top of his brain.
Oh, that's like, oh no.
Oh dear, those were fun days. Not some fun for Sky because obviously he was in hospital, but yeah, it was It was pretty nuts. Right, I need a couple of AAA batteries, I believe that is. Can't see. I think that's AAAs. Yeah, I think that's AAAs. Actually, have I got some knocking around over here? I haven't. Maybe we'll forego the battery situation.
Probably got some out with the
Let's
I
try.
noticed you can print out battery dispensers.
I know.
Let's
Oh.
do that.
Right, let's plug this bad boy in.
Okay.
And oh, look, we have an LED. I should mention as well on the bottom, you have got a little unwinding foot, so to get a bit of angle of the dangle going on. There's also a 1/4 inch or G1/4 thread, I think they call it, which is like what you normally get on most kind of camera devices, tripods, etc. If you buy this at the moment, there's a link. So if you add the stand, the tripod, to the actual cell, you basically get this for free. It actually it makes it cheaper to buy it with the stand than it does without. I didn't need the stand. I didn't even want the stand, but I thought, well, if it's going to make it cheaper,
Blinding me.
and there we go. It's actually not ridiculously loud, noisy. You can hear the fan. If I get close enough to it. 60,000 lumens, says Andy Archer. I don't know how many lumens it is, but I can see it on the wall. And this is where the fun actually really starts. Yes, there is going to be fun on this video. By Christ's power, I will have fun in this video if it kills me. So what I'm going to do is, because the Antec Flux Pro is such a behemoth of a case, I'm going to use the back panel of the Antec Flux Pro as a display screen. So I thought it would be kind of fun, and this kind of leads one into the other, so hey, you know what it's like. Oh, we've got our batteries, thank you, Kath. So
Right, don't point out the camera. Where's don't point out my eyes?
it's not that bright, to
It
be fair.
was.
Oh, is it?
RMG, I got flashed by the projector on the poster.
Sorry.
Oh, stop it.
It's not that bright, is it?
It's right in my eyes.
Sorry.
And that's the one in the back of my head.
Right, I am going to move the case onto the desk. I bet now that isn't going to be far enough away, is it? The lead. I knew there was a flaw in my cunning plan.
But it gave you the opportunity to flash it in my eyes again.
Sorry for the flashbang, everybody. Oh, Christ, just flashbang myself.
Good.
That was a rookie error. Right, I don't think I've actually got enough room to do this. In my head, this was a great plan. Let's move that back a bit because it's a huge case. And also, I should say as well, if I haven't done already, massive shout out. Oh, flipping hell, that hurt my testiculos. That is painful. Right. Is that visible? Yes, kind of. So let's get a little bit closer in. Oh dear, this is so funny. It's not really. Let's see if we can actually get some focus going on
It
here.
says up to 6 foot from the display area.
Oh, there we go. That's kind of okay. Yeah, there you go. You get the general idea. I'm going to plug a USB in on this USB
It's actually
stick.
better in real life than it is on the camera.
It is considerably better in real life, honestly.
I've turned around.
So you can do iOS wire connections, so you can plug in a device. You can do USB.
All that take a hit. There were Annie's.
Yeah, it did a bit. Stream ratio version, so you can do updates. There's software updates.
I think it's on the Colombian Hill of the case.
What else we got?
Wasn't it?
Yeah. So you can have front table, back ceiling. So you can change those. Got keystone adjustment, keystone reset, window zoom. So you can make it a little bit smaller on the side of your, and you can reset it back to the defaults. It's not actually a horrible interface. So picture mode, standard, sound mode standard, language settings, yeah. You get the general idea.
I don't know if you want to touch the
Okay, let me... I'll move the camera around. And get a focus on there, and I'll put it into manual focus. Is that barely visible? So you can play back text, photos, music and movies.
That's a good movie. That is good for a movie when camping.
Oh yeah.
Unless I've made better projectors with a cardboard box and a couple of magnifying glasses.
That's just hurtful.
But you didn't get a tripod.
So, there you go. It's, yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Patrick's in.
Hey Patrick! A bit of adjustment there. But actually, considering this is on a case, this isn't a projector screen in case you're wondering, that actually looks okay. You could take this away on a holiday and actually use that as a projection screen in your tent or your caravan, so if you don't want to take a big telly. These are the 1080p test footages that I use when we're generally doing monitor footage. But actually, I'm looking on my screen now. That don't look too bad. I've seen a lot worse.
Is it low power usage?
I'm not too sure of the power usage. I can't imagine it being a lot. The power brick was tiny, and I think it was only like 9 or 12 volts. And it can't be more than about 2 or 3 amps. So
Said, did you buy it using his link on the bargains in the chat?
I did, Rasher, thank you. I hold you personally responsible for this. But yeah, it's like I said, I wasn't expecting much, and obviously depending how far back you can get a much bigger picture. But this is about, well, how big is a mouse mat? 900mm, so it's under a meter. And they suggest doing it from, like, I think it's 6 foot away. That isn't 6 foot, that is probably, well, there's a 1 foot ruler. So 1, 2, just over 2 foot. So if you haven't got a lot of space, 2 foot is basically the minimum focusing distance that you can get away with.
It have to be that because the wire's not much longer, is it?
Yeah, but you could plug it into somewhere else, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's too bad. If you want to watch movies or play some video games.
Bit of porn in your tent.
Yeah, a bit of tent porn. I get all the what's the word I'm looking for? All the doggers coming around. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't expecting much. It is better than I expected. The colours are actually quite nice.
Watch a movie in the bath.
Yeah, yeah. If you've got white tiles in your bathroom, this could be fantastic. And it's actually very quiet. You could, if you wanted to as well, take it apart and put like a Noctua fan in there. And it would be, well, almost silent, I guess. But yeah, I wasn't expecting much. I know I've said that already multiple times. But this is actually pretty nice. There's a dark scene coming up in a minute after this. I want to see what the dark scene is like. I saw the flames just now, and that looked pretty good. Look at that old Porsche.
Well, it's not particularly dark in there.
No, it isn't dark, really. It's,
I can still see you.
the lights aren't on, but we have multiple monitors. Yeah. Come on, let's have the next one. I suppose I should have tried something with some sound on it, because we have got built-in speakers. There we go, there's a nighttime scene. So I'm not too sure what this is. I'm reasonably sure that this is supposed to be 2 prostitutes, but I don't know. I like to think it is.
I thought one was a bloke.
Well, I think they both got women's legs. One of them's got heels on, so I would argue that is...
I don't know, the one on the left is walking more like Oh,
I don't
no,
know.
it won't
Let me know. Let me know in the chat if you can actually see this and you can work out what's going on. I think they. Yeah, I think they might be hookers. It gives you that kind of seedy vibe with the lights and all that kind of stuff. The way they're just hanging out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Maybe I've just got that kind of imagination. But anyway, I like to think of it as that.
You like to think of it, lol. Very deep. And Raja said, did you get the free tripod for it on the other link I sent?
Yes, yeah. I got the tripod was an option. If you click on the link to buy the projector, it says at the bottom there's like a special deal, so you can like a special offer, and then you can add that to it. Anyway.
Thomas agrees the left might be a man. It was walking with like its feet apart like a man.
Probably walking with their feet apart because it's been absolutely ravaged all night.
But it did start putting one foot in front of the other like a woman.
Right, that is with the studio light on now, which is actually very bright. And it's still visible. And actually, it doesn't look that far off of what my monitor is, to be fair. Yeah, it's actually quite bright. You could use that in a lit... Actually, let me turn off the studio light.
No, please don't.
I'll turn on just a normal light in the room. So now that is the normal light in the room. And yeah, you can still see it pretty clearly. Though I haven't got daylight coming in because the curtains are drawn.
Curtains?
The blinds, rather. Where is that? That looks like Miami. Or Florida somewhere. If anyone can recognise this location, let me know. It feels like it might be Florida. Anyway. There we go. I've probably bored you all to tears now.
It's 35 quid, not 27 there.
Yeah, there is a discount code in some regions, I would imagine then. Maybe not all regions. Right, there we go. Let's put that back. We'll put on that.
53 on Amazon.co.uk.
Yeah, there should be a voucher underneath. If you click on the voucher, it should say 35% off, I think it is. At least it did earlier on today when I looked at it. Anyway, there you go. It is a projector. And for under 30 quid, or for even for the normal price of 35 quid, like, come on. Comes with a little snazzy remote control, which almost all of these come with exactly the same one. Press power again to power off. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm not too sure if it actually has speakers in it as such. Maybe it doesn't. It has got a headphone jack on the back. So maybe it hasn't got built-in speaker. Actually, it must have speakers, mustn't it, if it's got volume control. Yeah, ignore me, I'm just being daft. Right, I'm going to put this away.
Can't you? Have you got anything with sound?
Yeah, I think I haven't got anything with MP3s on. So I could play through it. I think I could plug in... I was thinking I could plug in my external monitor to it, but anyway. If anyone's got any further questions on the Yoton or Yoton projector, let me know. I think it's pretty cool. Again, for the money. I thought you were getting a USB drive or something, but you're not. You're getting bloody food.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting some fruit pastels.
Fruit pastels, or not on the fruit pastels again.
But you can't suck well.
No, I can't. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I like it. My initial reaction when I saw it listed on Discord was like, that is bloody awful. Or it's going to be awful. But actually, fair dues, it's actually not too bad. And again, take into account use case scenarios. Thank you. Oh, I can't get my hands in far enough. That'll do.
Big hands. Is that enough?
Yeah.
When you want some more.
I can't really chew on these whilst I'm doing a stream. It's really hard to do. That's true.
That'll last you for 3 weeks streams, that will.
Right, I'm going to put this away. Right, that ain't going back in there. Let's put all the bits in there. So yeah, you get the batteries. Sorry, you don't get the batteries for the remote control, so you will have to provide those, but you get HDMI cable to connect it up to like a console or a DVD player, even your PC maybe if you wanted to.
You didn't want to, but you did it anyway.
I just noticed my computer has crashed. What's going on? It's the old YouTube chat thing crashing again. Oh, I hate YouTube. Actually, can I get the stand to fit in there? Yes, I can. Excellent. That gets rid of some of the extra rubbish, which I don't. Oh, balls! I didn't put the power plug in.
Haven't you got your Starship windows on that? Haven't you got your Starship windows on that?
What are you talking about?
Starship Enterprise windows. I thought you updated that to have that new windows.
No, not on that one. Well, it is on that one.
Stop the chat thing though.
No, no. The Enterprise edition is on that Arco drive up there at the moment.
We call it Starship.
You confuse the hell out of me sometimes. I like that. On the actually, I'll stick it on the screen so you can see. On the stream desktop, so it says there, not enough memory to open this page. Good old Chrome. Although saying that, I think it happens in like Brave and all sorts of other browsers as well. So it isn't just a Chrome thing. Where's my box gone? Right, we better take a look at this case because there's going to be some upset people. I will put in the video timestamps at some point. I will try and put timestamps for all the things we've mentioned. So if people are upset or just want to find information on a certain topic, then I'll try and, oh bollocks, I will try and do that. I've got everything in one box now. Excellent. I can put that on the shelf until the next time I need to do something with the projector, which probably won't be for a little while. But again, like I said, it's a fun little thing. If you want to have a play around with it, if you're someone, oh bollocks! I didn't put the lens cap on.
Have you seen him in his Discord this week?
I haven't seen Nick Barnes much this week at all. When did I see him last? I think he posted something yesterday. He'll be fine. Probably having a night off. Having a bit of sexy time with Joe. Am I allowed to say that? A bit late now, I probably have. Right. Let's have another light on.
Nice screen.
Yeah. Right, let's go back to main camera. And this... I'm going to get you a Stream Deck. Let's refresh that.
Feels like I've got enough room on my desk.
Hopefully, is that still working? Yeah, Dutch jam, there you go. So how much is it in Germany?
40.
Arnold says it's Daytona Beach. Okay. Cool. Let's see, pop out chat. I can close that one. Oh, why is this that? Why? Oh, what the hell? I'll just leave it on there. Cheapest chips, Markovsky says. I agree. Hey, Nicholas Barlow, how you doing? Right, let's make a start on the case. So, this is the Antec Flux Pro. If you haven't already guessed, or not actually seen the video thumbnail, this was sent to us, or actually brought down to us, by the lovely legend that is Colin Hilton. Is that framed okay? Yeah, that'll do. It needs to be a bit higher actually. It's really difficult. I filmed the actual unboxing of this video today, and trying to get, literally the camera is right on the very edge of the table. It can't really go back any further. So yeah, it's a big case. Now the dimensions of this, roughly about 21.5 inches tall, roughly about 21.5 inches deep, and about 10.5 inches wide. So it is actually a big case. But it's very weird that this looks absolutely huge. Now, when Dave came around a little bit earlier on today, Dave Aitken, he looks like, bloody hell, that's big. And it is a big case. It does, when you first see it, you're like, shit, that's massive. But the Series 500, which is behind me, is only about an inch shorter in the top and other directions. It's essentially the same size, but it looks so much smaller. How it manages to do it, I don't know. But there is some sort of optical illusion with this case where it just looks big. It looks imposing, it really does. And it's actually bigger than cases like the Landcool 3. Part of the reason why Colin bought this is because he had the Landcool 3. He found it too big. He then swapped to... then he swapped to the Series 330. But he wants a bit of a change. He's fancying a change, so he wanted to change to something else. And he likes the Antec cases, and some of you will probably remember that Colin kindly offered to get some Antec cases and send them to us for review so we can check them out. The plan was Colin was going to come down with this and his existing PC. I was going to do the unboxing on this and then transfer all the bits in his PC into this one, and then this would be his new PC. So that was the plan. Unfortunately, due to the weight of this thing, which is significant. This is not even a medium weight case, it's a heavyweight case. You're looking at somewhere in the region of about 14 to 15 kilos without anything inside it, which is nuts. It is a very heavy case. If you put your PC components inside it, so say for instance your graphics card, probably a kilo. Your power supply, maybe getting on for a kilo. Motherboard and CPU cooler, if you've got a tower cooler, probably getting on towards a kilo. Add in some other bits and pieces, it's going to be heading towards 20 kilos, realistically. Maybe a little bit less, depending on what you're putting in there, but it ends up being a very heavy case. Now, Colin hopefully won't mind me saying that he is a man of multiple decades. There's probably not another way of putting that, but he's got a few years under his belt. And the last thing he wants to be doing, which obviously this is the reason why he got rid of the Landcool 3.
Single-figure decades.
Yeah, true. He doesn't want to be moving around a heavy case whenever he wants to do any modifications to his PC, which I completely understand. So, yeah, when we were looking at the dimensions of this originally, I'm sure we looked at it and like the physical size of it was like, okay, physical size isn't too bad as long as it isn't too heavy to move around. But somehow in the translation, I'm not sure how it got mixed. I think we did kind of veto the idea, but then he just got it anyway because Colin. Anyway, so it's very big, it's very heavy. So if you want a lightweight PC that you can potentially move around a little bit, this is probably not for you, if I'm completely honest with you. In other respects, design-wise, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the design. I'll be honest with you. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So I remember the old cars of that generation where you'd have basically wood trim. Jaguar possibly started it off mainstream wise. Then other companies such as Austin, Triumph, possibly some Leyland vehicles, Vauxhall at some point probably did it as well for us here in the UK. So various companies, manufacturers kind of started using wooden trim on the interior of vehicles to give them a more luxurious feel. Now, if you kind of grew up with that, and then you went to the more modern designs where basically wood trim was a definite no-no. You wouldn't buy a car with it, like Rovers and stuff, because it just looked old-fashioned. So, as with all things, after about 30 to 40 years, they kind of just all get recycled and they come back round again. With fashions, trends, all sorts of it. It's normally a 30 to 40 year cycle. So this is kind of the more modern way of doing it. So having a wooden trim on a PC, which was started, I believe, I could be wrong with this, but I believe the first case I saw with wood trim as well as being a normal PC case, I think was InWin. They generally tend to be innovators. This was with the, I want to say it was the InWin A1. I think they did it with the B1 as well. So there were wooden options with that. So this is probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe slightly more than that. There may have been other cases previous, but ones that actually were in production, possibly not. I don't know.
Colin's in.
Hey Colin, how you doing? I can't see the chat, so I do apologise. Actually, I'll get my phone in a minute. I'll put it on the stand so I can actually see the chat. But yeah, so InWin, I believe, were the ones who kind of started it. Then obviously you've got the more popular versions of it. So things like Fractal, obviously they did it in theirs. Other companies have dabbled in it. So the wood trim thing, again, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about wooden trim. It isn't that difficult to kind of erase it. So if you wanted to paint over it or whatever, stickers, anything, you can do. Again, it's very much down to the individual. I think if you're going for...
Exactly what I said, David Underhill.
What did David Underhill say?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, right.
Make 100% wooden case out of recycled pallets.
Yeah.
Do the recycled pallet.
That'd be pretty good. So, yeah, I think it's nice that otherwise it would be a very kind of somewhat dull looking case to some extent, because there's not a great deal going on. So actually having no RGB in it at all from the factory, actually having this wood surround does lift it a little bit. And it's very much in vogue at the moment to have these kind of minimalist looking desktop setups, very much like straight out of an IKEA catalogue, so very Scandinavian look, especially with this kind of lighter birch, which I keep on wanting to call it oak, but it's not, it's birch.
It's beech.
Beech? No, it's birch.
Was it birch? I thought you said beech earlier.
No, it's birch. Where's the bloody accessories box? Right. I've got this wrong so many times today, it's just not even good.
On the dark one.
Yeah,
walnut.
it's walnut on the other one. So yes, birch. You get a little sample in the box. So Flux Pro White Birch. Solid wood. So it is solid wood in there. Yeah, I got that wrong so many times today. Yeah, it is a bit ridiculous.
Wrong. 542 times 240 times 474 mil.
Oh, he's giving us the metric. Okay. Yeah, metric or imperial, whichever. We're lucky here in the UK because we use both interchangeably because we're different. We use miles, centimeters, meters, feet,
Pints.
gallons, litres,
We
pints,
don't really use gallons. Oh, we do use gallons.
millimeters, millilitres, fluid ounces. Yeah, we get it all thrown at us. Yeah, we even use American cups as well. Anyway, I'm digressing. So, design-wise, yeah, I don't know. I like it, but there's things I don't like it as well at the same time. Also, this front panel. Again, obviously, this is the entirely same design as the Antec Flux. The Pro version is basically the Flux on steroids. So, it's bigger, better, more expensive. We should talk about price. At the moment, in the UK, this retails for £170 from scan.co.uk, which is where Colin purchased it from.
Sorry, that was Dutch Jan's Meshify.
The same goes for the black version, which has the mahogany surround. So yeah, two options there. There isn't an RGB version, which I'm not sure if that kind of makes sense. It's sort of...
Would you?
I don't know. I've seen some cases with RGB and wood and it looks okay. But I understand why they haven't done it. But bizarrely, there is actually in the back a hub for addressable RGB. So it actually comes with a hub for RGB. So, and the blades on the fans are translucent, as if they could do RGB, but there's no RGB cables. So yeah, it's a kind of a slightly strange case, but it's a very nice case.
Do you have to stick all that birch regularly?
No, the birch is already pre-treated from what I can tell. Although I could be wrong. It hasn't got a gloss finish to it. It's got like almost like a semi-matte finish.
Plastic.
So I think there possibly is some protection on there. It doesn't say on there that it does need any. But I suppose you could do. There's no reason why you shouldn't, I guess. I don't want to stain it and damage it, but Maybe. Anyway, let's start stripping it down and taking a look. So behind the front panel of this very kind of somewhat minimalist looking PC case are 3 140mm fans. So you take that panel off, comes off pretty easily, and it's getting a lot easier every time I do it. So that is actually nice and easy to take and clean in the kitchen or bathroom or
Is there a walnut
whatever.
option?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's in black, doesn't it?
Yeah, the black version comes with mahogany, do we say?
No, walnut.
Sorry, walnut. It's a bloody dark wood. It could be teak for all I know. I don't care. They should do a black ash version on the black version. That'd be great. 80s throwback. Anyway, so you get the fans there. So you've got these nice multi-blade fans. I think these are, what are these, 9-blade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-blade. Yeah, so 9-blade fans. So great for airflow. You can, if you want to as well, you can put a 420mm rad in the front, or you can put a 420mm rad in the top. So maybe one of the Arctic Freezer 3 420s in the top for some serious cooling power. Very much an option. And I'm going to grab my screwdriver a moment. So this bit here, they've done some engineering on this, which I sort of understand, but at the same time I think is absolutely pointless. But I want to know what your ideas are on this, because yeah, I'm completely kind of gobsmacked really. So this front section here, there are 6 screws. So the 6 screws allows this midsection to be removed, which I guess does make sense, because if you wanted to do some sort of custom loop or something, you want to take things out, or just for maintenance purposes, I don't know, maybe you want to take it out. Having the options to take it out is obviously better than not being able to take it out at all. Let's get that in there.
Get it out.
So it takes a little bit of doing actually to get it out. Oh, it's come out easy this time, typical. So this whole bracket is removable, and if you want to, you can put 120mm fans in here, or obviously keep whatever's in there. It's got some cable pass-throughs which you can just about make out, so that goes through the side there. But also you've got the option to actually raise or lower this. So you can put it down towards the bottom, if you want a little bit more extra cooling for your drives at the bottom possibly.
You do ROM at the top.
Or, if you, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Or you can put it in so it's a little bit higher at the top. And there's like a little lug here, and the same on the other side. So you can centralise it on these pins. So you've got a little bit of adjustment there. But the more I think about it, the more I think that that is completely unnecessary. It's actually a bit tricky to work with as well. It doesn't fit very nicely. Yeah, so I don't know. Like for me, I'm a little bit OCD with symmetry. So having that gap at the bottom and having that gap at the top, for me, is like absolutely perfect. That's basically how it should be. Having them all towards the bottom and having a big gap at the top would be great, but there's no option of mounting a CD drive in there, which would make absolutely massive sense, or Blu-ray drive or something along those lines. So yeah, I don't know. I think that this bit is unnecessary.
So can you use bigger fans?
No, these are the biggest ones. So it comes with 140s as standard, but you can swap them out for smaller fans should you wish to. You might, no, actually I was going to say you might get 4 120s in, but you wouldn't. That would be 2. Actually, saying that, would you get 4 120mm fans in there? I think you actually might. You would struggle with the top mountings, top and bottom, but I think you could. Have I got 4 120mm fans which are the same, which are easy to get out of the box? Right, yes.
And easy to put back in.
And easy to put back in, more importantly. Let's have a look. I think it is a likelihood. What are those? SWAF fans. Hopefully they're in the box. Oh god.
You have an optional I/O panel or LCD screen.
The thing is, yeah, but then you'd have to have the front panel moved as well, which would be a little bit.
I put it on the other thing taken off.
Yeah. Right, we're going to cheat with this a little bit because these are magnetic fans, so that makes life a little bit easier for me. So yeah, I think that is very doable. If it wasn't for the extra bit of height top and bottom, you'd have no chance. But yeah, that is going to be. You won't be able to screw in the fans at the top and the bottom. But yeah, that just about fits. You might need to modify it ever so slightly, just to get it to fit in there a bit more flush. Although saying that, if you put the fans on the back, yeah, that would be pretty easy. So yeah, that is very possible. Although realistically, the fact that you can put three 140s in there is generally a better solution, because they are going to be bigger, they're going to be able to spin slower, and also you're not wasting some of the sides of it as well. But I know there are going to be some people that are like, well, it can fit 4 120s, so I'm going to stick in 4 120s. Again, this is something which I'm going to keep on coming back to during this. Is
480mm radiator?
No, 420 rads is the biggest.
Colin says the case is all metal apart from the front filter.
It is, yeah. Literally everything is metal. Actually, even the front filter is metal as well. Yeah, the wood is the only bit which, well, there's a trim around here which is plastic. That trim is plastic, but rubber grommets. But other than that, like wherever else it can be metal, it is metal or glass. So that is why it is predominantly heavy as a MFer. Oh, I wonder where that went. Oh. It's amazing the things I find when I'm going through up here. My Arctic cooler fan hub. Where do I put those? I've got to put things away as I go at the moment, because otherwise I'm going to get into a right pickle.
200mm?
No, 200mm is not possible, sorry. Well, no, you wouldn't. So, that's the front section. Again, I don't know. Actually, maybe look at the chat, see what you lot are thinking.
I kind of told you most of it, I think.
Yeah, I think Kath said most of it. No. Andy Archer says 2 times 200mm. No. Not going to work, sorry. Yeah, Andy Archer says quieter for the same airflow. How's the depth of the rads? So the depth of the rads is actually pretty decent. You've got some decent depth there, top and bottom. So yeah, maybe a 480 might fit in there. I've never had a 480mm rad, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. But officially 420 is what they're saying. Anyway, let's move on from that bit. Oh god damn it, this thing is so heavy. Glass is a toolless design, so just pop that out from the sides. There isn't actually anything holding the glass in place once you undo the latches, which, considering how heavy the glass is, because the glass itself is got to be the best part of, we're getting towards 2 kilos, maybe even more. It's very thick 4mm glass, and also metal supports top and bottom. So that is quite a large portion of the weight. Now this is what makes it the Flux Pro. So 2 fans here in the bottom blowing in, so these are 120mm. You've also got the front panel here, or side panel. So this is an LCD display which will show temperature. It needs to have some software installed, so this is Antec's own software, which is kind of like a hardware monitor type thing, so you can have it on screen and also on here. There's also a temperature button on the top, so you can press that to cycle through CPU temp, GPU temp, or both together. And also you can use it to change between Fahrenheit and Celsius, which is kind of handy. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I think I would have preferred to that not be software controlled. I think I would have much rather have that being hardware controlled and having maybe some thermocouples which you could maybe stick inside your CPU cooler or something, just to give you those sort of temps. Because obviously you've got software reporting in Windows in most applications, and most people will have either hardware monitor or one of those types of things actually up and running. So it would have been nice to have those, have an option of maybe having yeah, just a different reading, maybe like an ambient case temperature reading or whatever, like intake and exhaust temps, I don't know. Those kinds of things could be useful. This bit comes out easy, just pulls off, so that's pretty handy. And it is just a kind of a tint over the LED display. I always get the technology wrong on this. I called it an LCD, I think, at one point, but it's actually LED. So those are, what do they call that? Is it like a 7-segment LED or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7-segment LED. I'm thinking about it now. It doesn't sound right in my head, but I think it is. So yeah, anyway, you've got the LEDs there to give you your readouts. Also, in the basement section, you've got some bizarre things going on. So you've got the option to mount the power supply outward, which we've seen on a few cases, but you can have it rotated 90 degrees, so standard fitment in the back, or you can rotate it 90 and have it there. And you've got this pass-through cable. So this will effectively be in one of the sides and plug into your power supply here. You have a power switch, etc., which actually makes it so that if you're using a modular power supply, all of your modular connections are going to be at the very back rather than being inside. So for kind of quick and easy access. Again, but that it's a nice idea that you'll have quicker access to those plugs, but it's still the best part of 20 kilos in a PC, which you still have to physically move to get to take the back panel off to get to those connections. So it's like, well, if you've done all that, most people will be probably easier just to undo the screws on the back of the power supply, slide it out and do your modular cables. So I think it's trying to address a problem that doesn't actually exist. It's kind of cool that you have the option, but when that starts then nudging up the price point, that is when I think that it's kind of more a case of this is what we can do rather than this is what we should do. If that makes sense. I've probably been a little bit of a kind of a dick about it, but it just seems like it's £170 for a case, which is a lot of money for a case. And basically you could have either this or you could have effectively 2 of the Flux models, the non-pro versions. So that's being kind of like, that's a glaring thing. If you're someone who's building a lot of PCs, like you can get 2 cases for the price of 1. That's kind of nuts. It really is. Anyway, that's the basement section. Something else which is actually quite cool about the basement section, inside the accessories box, you can actually get some blanking plates. So these 2 fans here, you can, if you want to, replace them with another one of these. So that is just a blanking plate. So if you want it to look a little bit slicker on the bottom, then you can do. Also something which I've kind of thought about more so now, I didn't like the look of these fans on the top. I think it looks like a little bit ugly, but you can, I'm pretty sure, mount the fans underneath, which in actual fact, I'm going to attempt to do that now, because that is something which has bothered me, and the look of it as well. I don't appreciate the look like that. So if you could mount the fans underneath, so they're not kind of intruding into the case area, I think that would be better. And you're still going to be able to get plenty of fresh air into it from the side panels, but there's something I wanted to try. Thank you, Rasher, for the super chat. Kath's off her doing her own thing.
A little break.
She was having a break on her phone. She completely missed it.
Sorry.
Thank you, Rasher.
My screen.
I will click on that now. I can find my mouse and see through the side of the case. What do you say? I went to Dan... I can't see that. Ugh. I went to Dan's cafe yesterday, but was put off by all the non-stop George Michael music. I'm never gonna dance again. Ah, that's good. I like that. For those of you that are possibly slightly younger than us, there was a famous lyric in the George Michael hit. Although, was it George Michael? Or I think it was Wham that did that, even though it was done as a solo by Careless Whisper. I think. Yeah, it was officially distributed as a Wham song but it was done solo by George Michael. So yeah, the Careless Whisper is a classic tune, and in that thing, one of the kind of the taglines was, "I'm never gonna dance again, the way I danced with you." I have flashbacks about that song. I went to a junior school disco, and I probably shouldn't say the girl's name, but I do remember the girl's name because it traumatized me so much. And literally, that song at the time was #1 here in the UK, and it was, I think, it's #1 for ages. And basically, I could not get rid of this. Like, I was 10 or 11, I think, at the time. I didn't want to be doing none of that stuff. And have I clicked on the right thing? No, I haven't. Sorry. And yeah, I didn't want to be dancing. No one. I don't want to be smoking in the toilets with everybody else.
That's the one you started smoking at.
I did start smoking then, yeah. That is when I started smoking. How terrible is that? Yeah, anyway, so yeah, they played that song basically on loop, and this girl just would not let me go. She just wanted to dance all the time. I was like, oh my God. And I actually never went out dancing ever again. Literally, from 10 or 11 years old that I was at the time, it emotionally scarred me so much that, much like George Michael, I never danced again. So there's an interesting story for you. You probably weren't expecting that, Rasher, but you did lead me into it, so I thought I'd take full advantage. I can't see the chat, which is probably for the best.
Neville says, you can't mount the fans underneath as the back one gets in the way of the PSU.
Oh, shit. Does it? Right. Would it? I don't know if it... Well, let me see. Where's my measuring stick?
You've been careless with your whisper.
I've been careless with my whisper. I'm looking at the level. Right. You could do it, but you'd have to have the power supply mounted in the back, so not using the I shift position. Actually, I do need to disconnect those fans because the cables go through the grommet. So, right. I'm not going to do that now because this is becoming quite painful. Rasher says I knew you'd like that one, Mike. Yeah, damn right. RLG. Wouldn't it be nice if there wasn't a thing like copyright strikes and you could just have music on in the background of your stream, like some cool old-fashioned vibes, and just have that going on? I think it'd make life much nicer. But unfortunately, in the world of money-grabbing bastidos, you're not allowed to. Although saying that, it's probably for the best because there's probably a lot of people out there that don't like listening to certain types of music, so it keeps it out. But anyway, my theory being, if you had a power supply which was a relatively compact one, if you mount it in the back section, you should be absolutely fine with the fans in that lower position. Or alternatively, like I said, you can remove the fans altogether. Inside the Flux Pro accessory box, there are, if you don't like the fans at all, you've got an extra 2 of these blank out trays, so you can add them to that one. Much like, again, Leanne Lee do that in quite a few of their cases. So you've got that. Also in the accessories box, there's your usual thing, bunch of screws in a little plastic case. And also, for those of you that don't like the idea of having your power supply that way around, you do have in the back a traditional kind of power supply mount. So that can go into the back. So yeah, you can use a normal power supply in its normal orientation if you want to. So you do have the options there. Again, I'm going to say it again at the risk of sounding repetitive, because I am. It's like all these little things just add up to being, well, just making a more expensive product. It doesn't need to be an expensive product, really. They should just have the I think it's, yeah, it comes down to confidence in design. Like you look at Apple. How many times have Apple sold a device with various different configurations out of the box? Never. It never happens because they have their design. It's like, that is the product we designed, that is what we envisioned, that is basically what you're given, what you're going to get. If you want to add things to it, that's fine, but that's it. At least in the majority of cases. There's probably is like another option somewhere for some kind of obscure product, but these days you don't even get a charger. You're lucky to even get a USB cable or a set of headphones. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I understand that they're trying to give you flexibility, and also arguably you could probably say they're trying to give you some value for money, like you've spent a lot of money on it, so here's all the possible bits that you might want to use over the period of you owning the case, which is, it is also commendable. But when you're actually paying for that privilege, it's kind of like, well, you're not doing it for me. You're doing it so that you can cater towards more potential buyers.
Neville says, did you read that? It might work with the PSU mounted normally. I've got one mounted sideways. Yeah,
I did. I sort of addressed that, yeah. Neville, I think you're absolutely right. I think, yeah, if you go with it mounted this way, because you're pushing it into the case more, it would not work. I'm very confident that with a normal size power supply, you could mount the fans underneath them, and I think it would look better. Nick Barnes is in the house. He's still with us. I thought he defected. I'm just trying to work out what the temperature is at the moment. It's bloody hot. It is only 24 degrees.
It is hot, isn't it?
But it feels very humid. And I'm getting like carpal tunnel syndrome from all this screwing.
Not pitching a tent.
Yeah. So again, this section is removable, so you can do whatever you like with that. Take it out, move it around. Radiator clearance in the front between the fans and this section is 60 millimeters, 60, which is approximately 2.5 inches. Getting a workout. So yeah, underneath there, you've got your basement. You've got rubber grommets in various locations, nice pass-throughs. Those there. You've also got 2 there as well. In terms of the actual layout inside, it will support up to a EATX motherboard, so extended ATX. Although technically that isn't a standard as such. Yeah, there is a decent overlap on this section here. It doesn't really raise up until after the grommets. So even if you've got a board which comes out a little bit further, you could probably still get your cables through there. It is rated for EATX, so that shouldn't be a problem. Clearance in the top, so between the radiator mount and the top, actually there's an easier way of showing this. This is actually a very cool thing which you can do with this case. So to take the top off, little lifty up there, and where it gets very cool is you can undo this screw. And also you can undo this screw, if we can get to it. Oh God, I should just stand up. I'm going to do my back in again, I swear. Although saying that, it is making the case a little bit lighter, so there's always a benefit. So this bit hinges up, you can remove that entirely. So there is your top mount. So that's yeah, pretty cool. 420mm rad, 360, 280, 240, etc. Actually, that's going to be the same as the front. So yeah, you could do 4 120s, you could do 3 120s, or 3 140s, or like combinations of, because that is, actually, no, I'm telling lies. Well, if you don't mind not having screws in a couple of the fans, you could put 4 120s in there. I wouldn't recommend it, but I know there's people out there who like to modify the bejesus out of these things, so for you, it's going to be absolutely fine. Again, when it comes to clearance at the top there, so between the top of your motherboard and the top of the tray here, 80 millimeters, 80. So that is an absolute ton of room. So even if you're using some of the thicker radiators on the market at the moment from various brands, Arctic, their Freezer 3 being a prime example. I think Height as well, do a thicker one. So yeah, 80 mils, and also a decent offset as well. So the offset starts kind of out here. So even if you've got big VRMs on your motherboard, shouldn't have any issues at all. Even if you have got a radiator that kind of drops down a little bit more. 140mm fan on the back, which you probably can't really see at the moment, which is the same as the front ones. So yeah, they're nice. It still annoys me that they've got opaque blades. I think they're opaque. Where's this torch thing? Oh god, are they opaque? Yes, the blades are very much opaque. And you can maybe see that, but yeah, the blades are opaque. So it's a shame that they're not RGB. But I guess that's just another expense that they just didn't want to go to. What else we got? So something which is a little bit unusual for most cases is you've got 8 PCI Express brackets on the back. So it doesn't support vertical mounting out of the box. You can get a separate kit from Antec to do that if you want to do a vertical mounted GPU, which actually GPU wise, GPU can go in here up to, I think they said 455mm. So this is a 400mm ruler roughly. So yeah, 455 should be enough right up to the fans maybe. Yeah, that'll do up to the fans. So realistically, any graphics card is going to be absolutely fine in there. But yeah, going back to the thing, so 8 PCI Express covers. So what that means is the motherboard's going to stop here. So you've still got some overhang at the bottom. So you can potentially do a multi-GPU setup using your second PCI Express times 16 slot. So for maybe video editing purposes, rendering, AI tools, whatever, potentially you might want to do that, put 2 GPUs in. You might want to then take those fans out and put them underneath to give you a little bit of extra clearance there, but it is a possibility. So in terms of the actual physical layout, there's nothing really that I would be really kind of like, they've messed up. It's all very, very workable. Whether or not you want to put those fans underneath or not, I personally would. The PSU mount on the side, I don't think there's any legitimate, realistic use case that I would do that. Because if I need to access the power supply to put in modular cables, I'll just take the power supply out. It doesn't need all this complex engineering. I quite like the LANcool 207, which I've got actually as my video editing PC, because that is only got one option. Your power supply goes in sideways. If you don't want to put your power supply in sideways, buy another case. They're confident in the design. Whereas this, I think they're trying to cover 2 bases and then add other complications, such as potentially not being able to put those fans underneath if you use it in that situation. Let's see.
Is it LO8s?
80mm, what is that in American? Let's have a look. 80mm in American is 3 3/8.
Derek, I don't know if you can read it out, but just so you don't. The one right at the top. If your screen's
Right, Derek Canham. How you doing, Derek? Derek actually was, he's another supporter of the boys and girls over at Technically Stable. And he mentioned yesterday there was a bomb threat. When I say the word bomb, a bit late. There was a B threat yesterday that turned out to be some D dealers putting Ds into disposable vapes and had tons of massive gas canisters at a house. Really, really unsafe. So yeah, he just said that there was a bee scare somewhere in the UK yesterday. So yeah, I kind of know what it is now. Thank you. Nice to see you in the chat as well. Skystalker says, kind of funny in Canada, in my experience, we use litres for liquids, pounds for weight, kilometres for distance, and feet for altitude. We are just confused. Sorry, yeah, possibly some of that has got to do with our royal family. But don't worry, they're just as confused anyway. Very confused. Right, I think that is it, unless there's any other questions about what is going on in this side of the case, and we can move on. Of course, if there is any questions, feel free to let me know. Now is the time, and I will put these screws back in, and then I'll quickly look at the chat window again. So if there is anything that you would like to know about the Flux Pro, then please do let us know. And even if you don't want to know anything, just type it with chat anyway. It's good for the algorithm. We are slaves to the algorithm. Also, I should mention as well, this top panel is also solid metal, and it's a monster. This on its own is probably, I don't like to guess, but I guess it would be about 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos maybe. It is a very, very solid piece of metal. The whole case is a very, very solid case. Like, extremely very solid. The top panel goes on pretty easily. So, boom, 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 boom. Just pop them all into place. I did notice, actually, they don't supply any of the spare plastic panel pins.
There you go.
I'm not sure what they call them. They're
Call them
pogo pins, yeah, whatever they are. But they these little things, they do have a tendency to break. A lot of manufacturers use them now. But yeah, it would have been nice to have seen a few of those spare, just in case. You can 3D print them, and you can also buy them. If you look up, I think on AliExpress, Lian Li case clips, there's a couple of companies which sell them. Like about $6 for like a pack of 20 or something, which again is a massive amount of money, especially if you're spending 170 quid on a case. But conversely, if you're spending 170 quid on a case, kind of little extras like that would be nice. And actually, I'm going to double check in the box to make sure there definitely isn't any, so I don't get chastised in the comments later on. But I'm almost 100% sure that they aren't in here. So, no. Got spare standoffs. There's some screws for something or other there. Oh! No, there's spare pieces of plastic and all sorts in there, but there's no actual things. There's a donation come in from Nick Barnes. Sends £15. Thank you very much, Nick. Nick says, meeting family friends for drinks and meal. Great catch up. To be honest, penalty for missing start enclosed. Nick, Joe and Molly. Thank you very much, you lovely people. I actually said earlier on in the stream that maybe you and Joe are catching up on some quality time together. So missing the stream so you could, well, you know. But you're out with friends. You may still be doing that, I don't know. What you do in your time is absolutely fine. It's good to see you in the chat anyway. Thanks for joining us. Oh, God's sake. Oh, it's a really good core workout moving this thing. It really is. Right, on the back, pass-through cable, which is included. And that has got thumb screws. Again, like I said earlier, you have got the option. So if you want to take that out in its entirety, get rid of all that, you can replace it with just the normal power supply section, which I think is probably going to be the better way of doing things. I don't know. I guess as well, because a lot of modern power supplies now have extra switching on the back of the power supplies to be able to turn on things like zero fan mode, or potentially change like RGB or something, or maybe even like an overclocking mode for some power supplies, like a little toggle button. So actually having your power supply enclosed and not accessible is probably to its detriment, but anyway. Loads of ventilation on the back, 140mm fan, as we said. You can put a 120 in should you wish to. Before we take a look in the very back, let's take a look at the bottom, as somebody said. Yeah, actually there is a bit of plastic. This is the lightest piece of the entire case, and that's actually quite heavy. You can see it sagging.
Yeah, try Cuban heels, they might be lighter.
Oh yeah, that's true. So it's wearing Cuban heel, so it reaches up about 20mm off the desk, so that's about inch and a bit, inch and a quarter. No, it's not even an inch, is it? Let me measure the thing. Damn it, why do I keep on putting this away? Right, so yeah, 20mm exactly, so that is 3/4 of an inch, roughly. I don't like those little measurements. Right, so full length dust filter with nylon mesh, nice, nice, nice. All cutouts along here. You've also got the mounting areas. So if you want to, you can actually put fans in the bottom. So you can put another 2 120s in here, or another 2 140mm fans, so blowing into the case. Again, you'd have to remove the spare hard drive brackets in there to put the fans in, but if you want to, you can do. And again, they would be fully filtered, so that's kind of nice. So yeah, done a pretty good job there. I don't think I actually mentioned that in the review video. Putting fans in the bottom. Seems a little bit counterintuitive, being you've got 2 there anyway, which are pulling in from the side. It seems a bit pointless, but I don't know. Maybe you don't like the look of the ones on the top and you want to just put them in the bottom. That could be a good look. Which actually then makes sense why they put the blanking plates in there. So if you don't like the look, you can put the fans on the very bottom. They're reverse blades, so they're going to pull inward. And yeah, happy days. I've learnt a thing. Fun enough, when Colin came down with this case, we did have a kind of a little walkthrough of it and have a look around. And I kept on finding things even then. And it's like, why does this do this? And why does that do that? And then you kind of work it out and it's like, oh yeah, actually it kind of makes sense. I couldn't work out how to get the drive cage out to begin with. And I was like, you have to basically disassemble the entire PC to get the drive cage out, which is an absolute faff. Anyway, on the back, you've got the projector screen base. So if you want to project your movies on the under £30 projector, which we have linked in the video description, this is an awesome place to start projecting your movies onto. Or take it outside and do it on the side of a shed or garage. Funny enough, in our back garden, our neighbour's garage actually like rests into our garden. I am going to take that projector out either tomorrow or some other night when it's very dark out there, and I am going to project a movie onto the side of the garage and try different measurements to see how far away we can get it before it looks like cack. I think we'll try that.
We've got as much garage as we used to have, mind. Because we've got a fence halfway down it now, haven't we?
Yeah, but it'll be enough, won't it? We'll give that a go. I might even do it in a live stream. That'd be hilarious. Right, side panel. Again, it's kind of like a toolless design, so that comes off. Ventilation in the bottom there for pulling in more air for those fans potentially in this side. Cable management is excellent in this. As you probably expect for a case of this kind of magnitude, it's bloody huge. Huge, heavy, and lots of room, which is kind of nice if you've got the room for it. So, where do we start? Let's start with cable management. So cable management, you've got loads of little punch outs and pass-throughs, etc. Rubber grommets, as we said already. You've got this nice cable channel, which is done really well. Antec in their kind of blurb suggests putting your I/O cables down through this side on the left and your power cables through this one here. Obviously, do whatever works for you. It's entirely fine. Up in this top corner, we've got the addressable RGB powered hub and fan hub.
Reality says the blanking plates would stop the airflow from the bottom.
Yes, they would actually, yeah, because they are relatively porous, but not enough. So yeah, good point. The ARGB hub has got addressable RGB outputs on it, and also it does terminate at the bottom here. So you've got PWM and ARGB, which is yeah, that's fine. Just a shame they haven't got RGB fans in to begin with. I'm trying to work out how the fans work, because there's an extra cable there from a fan, but I don't know which one. It looks like it's that one at the top. So it's a little bit peculiar that Antec have shipped £170 worth of the case with a fan hub which doesn't even connect up all of the included fans that comes with the case. I don't get it. I really don't. I've said this before, Antec are a bizarre company. They really are absolutely nuts. So yeah, they've basically got another fan there. Like, it's not a problem, because most motherboards, especially if you're spending this sort of money, you're probably going to be buying a decent motherboard. So it ain't going to be the end of the world just to plug in your exhaust fan there. But it also makes you think, like, why would you include this many fans and a 5-port hub? when you've got 6 fans out of the box. Just even some of their own cheaper cases like the C3, the C5, etc., their fan hub has got basically enough ports to do the fans it comes with, and they're half the price. In some instances, a third of the price, maybe even a quarter of the price. So yeah, it's bizarre that they've done that. It really is. I don't quite understand it. And being that the hub is actually integral to the LCD display and also the temperature button on the top, it's not like it's like, well, all right, we'll just take that hub out, because you cannot do that. For me personally, I think what I would be tempted to do, because you've got the two 120s in the bottom, which are connected up to the top there, I would disconnect the two 120s from the bottom, put the rear fan on there, so then you've got all 4 of your 140mm fans running together, and then run the 2 bottom fans off a separate hub, because they're going to be for like GPU cooling. So you want those to probably run differently from obviously the rest of the fans, which will be most likely going to be looking at CPU temperatures. And we're doing for time, we're not doing too bad. Okay, yeah, so just this little bizarre things like that, which, like, they've gone to the point of putting in all this nice channeling and stuff, but then something like that which is kind of like, that's strange. Anyway.
Nick Wilson says, "Hi Mike, I've just bought the
Hey Nick.
EATX, which is a poor man's Flux Pro."
Oh, right, okay. Nicely done. Hopefully you enjoy it. Right, so cable management, yeah, fine. The fan hub, fine. Pass-throughs, etc. Lots of room, blah, blah, blah. All your connections, front panel connections, that's all good. Suppose next is really drive storage. So drive storage is something which they've really gone to town with on this. Again, adding to the weight, unfortunately. So you've got 2 3.5-inch drive caddies there. Those will also take 2.5-inch drives or a 3.5-inch drive. You can't do both at the same time, so it's one or the other. So 1, 2, 3 if you include this one. So another 3.5 or 2.5-inch drive in this enclosure here. That enclosure is also removable. So undo the screw, you can pull that whole thing out, if I remember rightly. Just pulls backwards. So this bit all comes out. There's yet another drive caddy or cage here. So 2.5-inch drive on there, 3.5-inch drive in there, in the caddy, or 2.5 if you decide to go down that route. And so that goes in there. That screws on there. So I think in terms of drive storage, you are pretty much well covered. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Potentially you can mount more drives in the bottom as well if you wanted to. I'm sure you'll find somewhere. I'm pretty sure it said on their site that 8 drives. Well, I don't know where you'd put the others. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe if you can spot it, let me know in the chat. So I'm trying to think how you would... Oh, actually, yeah, on this top section, you can put 3.5s on the top as well. You've got the holes there and just noticed. So this will take, yeah, 2 drives. So 2, 3, 4. I wonder if they say you can put another drive on top of there as well at the same time. I don't think there's going to be enough room. Maybe that's what they're hinting at. I should have read the manual actually. So yeah, you've got the drives there, so that would go on there. Oh yeah, that'll do that easily. So yeah, that's where your extra 2 drives come from. So yeah, 3.5 on the inside, 2.5 on the top. 3.5 on the inside, 2.5 on the top, so that's 4 drives, another 2 there, so that's 6, another 2 there, so that's your 8 drives.
Oh, extra drives on the outside of the case.
Yeah, got it. So yeah, in terms of drive storage, I think 8 drives is going to be enough for most people. Probably more than enough. I'm not entirely keen on this caddy scenario. It does sort of work, but it's not ideal. It doesn't kind of lock into place very nicely. But it works, and it's all on rubber grommets as well, so to aid for noise dampening and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, lots of drive storage. Let's have a look. Is there any questions about the back section at the moment that we need to take a look at? Dutch Jan says, I'm on the Antec site. The black one looks nicer. I think I'm...
And what wood's on the black one?
What wood is on the black one?
No, you.
Oh,
testing. Come on. It's less than an hour ago, I told you again.
The wood on the black version is...
Don't tell him, Candy.
Mike.exe has stopped working. I can't remember. What was it? Was it rosewood?
Walnut.
Walnut. If you want it, yeah. I always thought walnut was a light wood. Is it a dark wood? Is it walnut?
They can dye woods any colour anyway, can't they?
Yeah, but you'd think they'd have a natural finish for it. Anyway. Hey, Candy. You okay? What's going on? I don't really want to be looking at your butt. Thank you very much. Susan Robbins says you can take 2 kilos off his weight by removing all the stuff you won't use. I know. Yeah, I agree. Weddy Bob says I need 12 mechanical bays in a PC case. Yeah, he does. Walnut. Thank you, David Andrew. He's listening. Derek says, I'm still surprised I managed to get 2 3.5-inch drives in my Johnsbow D41. Wow, yeah, you must have done some really cable managed stuff going on there. Dutch Jan says, question, can you put a second drive caddy in it? What, the one underneath? Well, to be fair, the rail that it's actually on does have space for another one. So if you could purchase another one, then yeah, I don't see why not. You probably could do. You'd have to think about your power supply size, and then you might want to maybe do the rotated power supply just so that you don't have the cables coming out here to interfere with your drives. But yeah, I think that is quite possible. So yeah, maybe up to 10 drives. Monster.
High quality firearms use walnut.
Oh, did I?
Stocks. Dark coloured.
Ah, I've learned a new thing. Right, my final complaint about this case. It's not my final one, honestly. There'll be more. But another thing which annoys me. So the hub at the top is powered. It won't work without power. The fans won't spin. The LCD won't light up. Nothing. So you need SATA power. Now the SATA power plug only goes to there. Now I'm going to double check this just in case it's bundled up. I don't think it is, but I am going to double check just to make sure before I sound like a complete lunatic.
Even though you've done the review.
Even though I've done the review, I was confident in my choices at the time. So no, that is exactly as it should be. Well, not as it should be, but as it is. So this cable, even if you took it to the direct length of the floor there, it still isn't quite long enough. So, like, how much more money would it have cost to make this cable long enough to go to the basement so you can tuck it in nicely, rather than having to drag a SATA cable up to this level to plug in? Now, you could argue that they're planning to use SATA drives in this section here, in which case you're going to have a SATA plug there maybe anyway for a drive, so you could kind of just tuck it in there and plug it in underneath there, so you would have to run a SATA cable towards that. But would it have been a massive hardship to maybe make that another, I don't know, another 6 inches, I guess? Maybe
30 feet longer.
Say another foot longer, just to be on the safe side. So just so you can put it in underneath there. Would that have been a hardship? I don't think it would be. Now, I don't know what the profit margins are like on these cases. I'm assuming they are reasonably healthy, because otherwise Antec would probably no longer be in business. So I'm assuming they make a reasonable profit. What would that extra length of cable for SATA be? 10, 20 cents, if that? Again, just seems like a slightly overlooked thing, which I think Antec do a lot. There's other companies that do as well, don't get me wrong. No one in the industry is perfect. I don't think anyone's even remotely close at the moment.
You are.
Yeah, I'm not in the industry though, and I'm far from perfect. But I try. Yeah, so it just, yeah, little things like that, that's annoying. They've done that on a couple of cases now as well, if I remember rightly. And there was another company that have done it as well. I can't think who it was off the top of my head, but there's a couple of companies which have done it. It just boils my piss. I hate to put such a blunt term on it, but it's just like, it's such an easy thing to do. Like at the design stage, when they're working this out, surely someone would have been in the 3D modeling software and be like, can't we just extend that down to the bottom or find another place for it? Because it just, yeah, I'm just being picky now, but it's £170 case. I think genuinely I have got the right to be picky when it's costing more than like 50 quid. And if it was a 50 quid case, I would still complain, because I think it's just a little bit stupid. Boiled piss, my favourite. Anyway, you've got loads of room in there for cable management and stuff. Like I said, there's plenty of room, so it's not the end of the world to have to put a SATA cable up there. It's just annoying that you would possibly need to do that. We can have a look at the, oh, God's sake. Looking at the top section, so we've kind of seen this already, but I'll take it off anyway. So again, super heavy, very good quality construction. Front I/O panel, so you've got a power button, you've got a reset button, you've got a combo headset mic jack, you've got two USB Type A, so 5 gigabit per second. You've got a USB Type C, which I think is 10 gigabit per second. I'm not entirely sure. And also then you've got the temperature button for changing the display on the LED, which I would love to be able to show you, but unfortunately you have to install the software, and this hasn't got a PC in it. And I don't plan on installing the Antec software on my PC because I don't want to. It's the honest answer. I'm getting to the point now where I don't like all these extra little bits of software here, there and everywhere. And I think it comes back to after using my Enterprise edition of Windows, it just got me thinking more and more about how bloated my operating system on my PC does become. Because you end up with all the things like RGB software, your motherboard control software, your fan software, your temperature monitoring software, your antivirus software. It just goes on and on and on. It's like, actually, I'm just sick of it. Wouldn't it be nice if there were just like one unified solution? There never will be, because all the companies want their own slice of the pie and they want their own ecosystems. Corsair, obviously, Leanne Lee, looking at you. Thermal tape to some extent as well. Although I think actually some of them are learning. A lot of the companies now do like RGB software which works just from the standard ports rather than like USB controllers, etc. So, yes. Skystalker says, question Mike, does it have a drive activity light? I noticed some new cases don't. I hate that. I don't believe so. No, there isn't, and there's no LEDs, no power LED, and there is no drive activity LEDs. You're actually quite right. Yeah, that is something which is becoming far more common. Yeah, I would say you'll tell by the RGB lighting, but it hasn't got any RGB lights either. So unless you put your fingers in the fans to see if it's actually running, you'd never know. Whew. Right. There we go. Let's answer some of your questions. Now, I can actually start to be able to read the screen now because it'll be a little bit closer.
It's like that can fit a 420mm rad.
Yes, it will take two 420mm rads, one in the top and one also in the front.
Dutch Jan Lol Antec is one of the first Dutch manufacturers of electric bicycles.
Is it really? How mad is that? Mark Berry says, Special Forces boil their own pea, lol. I'd imagine they would. David Under says, boiled pea equals hot Fosters. That's very, very unkind. Alexa says, I remember paying $200 for a 20 gig hard drive. Those were the days. I still remember very vividly to this day going to a place called Software Warehouse here in the UK. And I bought a 4x times, 4 times speed CD-ROM drive, and it was £81 and 8 pence. There was a weird thing with Software Warehouse where all their prices were kind of like excluding VAT. So they looked really good. And then when you added the VAT on, it was always rounded to like some bizarre number. So I think we would have probably been at maybe 15% VAT back then, maybe 17.5. 20 at the moment. So I think we're at 15%. So yeah, whatever 8108 was minus 15% or 17.5% would have been the drive price, which was probably, I don't know, 60 something, 65 quid or something. And it's like, yeah, I need a new CD-ROM drive. Go to Software Warehouse. Those were the days. And also we went to
Cirencester.
no, was it Cirencester or Chippenham?
Oh, Chippenham.
Yeah, we went to Chippenham. There used to be a place in Chippenham which was a very strange computer place. I'm trying to think what they were called. Was it Database Computers? No. Can't remember what they're called, but yeah. There was a place in Chippenham. This is how bad it was back in the day. So to get computer parts, you had to travel like miles. Chippenham from here is like a long distance.
It's not really that far, but for us it is.
For it's not like a retail thing, is it? So our local high street stores, or even going into the centre of town, so into another city effectively. So yeah, go to Cirencester and I bought 4 megabytes of EDO RAM.
Who bought it?
To double up my system from 4 to 8. Kath bought it.
I didn't buy it.
Who bought it?
My mum bought it for you for Christmas.
Oh yeah, Kath's mum bought it for me for Christmas. And yeah, 4 megabytes of EDO RAM. And I'm sure that was about the same price, about 80 quid. For 4 megabytes of EDO RAM. Wow. Those were the days. Gentleman Bad Boy says, Special Reserve I used to go to back in the day. You had to be a member and they sent you a magazine. Yes, I remember the Special Reserve yes, was Special Reserve part of Software Warehouse?
That used to be a sort of bank account in that West as well.
Oh yeah.
When I worked there.
Rasher, a man loses 3 fingers in an accident. He asked the doctor, will I be able to drive with this hand? He said, probably, he said, but I wouldn't count on it. Boom. Phil Stodd says, I remember when desktop RAM was sold in sleeves. What? It's sold in sleeves? I don't...
Like a sleeve, like a record sleeve, like a piece of paper.
Ah, right, yeah. Viali says, my mate used to get my parts, worked for IBM as a server designer. Very nice.
You just think it's your arm is kept in sleeves.
Those are good times. Excellent stuff. Oh, I'm reminiscing now. I miss the old days. I know the new days are like they are what they are. The golden era of computing is definitely gone, but it's not forgotten, fortunately. So, any other suggestions or any ideas or anything else you would like to discuss or talk about? I'm sure there's something I've meant to have done in this stream, and I cannot think for the life of me what it's going to be. Oh, actually, I know what I need to do. Yeah, I bought some keycaps. I'm pissed off, actually. Genuinely, I am pissed off. So, some of you may know I have a Keychron keyboard. So, I have the Keychron K10 Pro, which is my daily driver at the moment on my PC after my rebuild from my old Asus video editing system. I've now gone back to MSI and an AMD rig, which, yeah. So, I've got a Keychron K10 Pro, and it's got proper keycaps, like proper PPT keycaps. But when the lights get dim, it has RGB, but they're not shine through caps, and it annoys. Again, it's another thing for making Fosters. It really does boil my pee. So I've been trying to get shine through caps for my keyboard. So I actually bought some ages ago. They were no good. I've got some Razer ones.
Told me it was shine through pants.
Shine through pants. Yeah. I've got some Razer ones, but the trouble is with Razer ones, they've got those kind of ninja caps. So you cannot see the font. It's really small, which annoys me. And also because the LEDs on here are south facing, most keycaps are designed for north facing, so they have the font towards the top of the keycap rather than the bottom. So I bought these on special offer from SteelSeries. So these are prism caps. These are available on Amazon. They're about 20 quid, I think, for a full set of keycaps. And these are what people call kind of the pudding keycaps. So you've got the clear surround on the bottom, then the keycap on the top. These would have been perfect, literally perfect, but the actual keycap font is at the top of the key rather than being at the middle or the bottom. So for north facing, these are absolutely great. I know it's like, oh, first world problems, but I like to be able to see the keys that I'm actually using to type on. So those are excellent and a very good price, like 20 quid for pudding keycaps is awesome. Especially a full set in the UK, because UK keycaps are obviously different from US ones, etc, etc. But the Keychron version, I'm going to try and find it on the website, they've been out of stock for literally forever. So what do I want? Keychron UK. Yeah, it's just super annoying. I know it's like first world problems, but yeah, grayed out. It's sold out. Let me go to the stream thing. So there we go. There, that's the ones I'm after. So as you can see, well, you might not be able to unless you get really close, but the font is actually at the bottom of the key rather than the top. Yes, I would love £10 off my next gadget if you had them in stock. Yeah, so the Nordic ones they've got in stock, and the PT, whatever PT ISO is, I don't have a. Where is PT? No idea. So yeah, that's the ones I want. UK ISO, and they don't have them in stock. They're like 36 quid, so it's like the price of a keyboard almost. But I really, really need these in my life, and I've actually emailed them a couple of times, and they've not got back to me. So I'm very upset about this whole situation because I really want some shine through keycaps. I know what you're thinking, first world problems. Yes, it very much is. It's stupid. I'm one of those people where I like to have my kind of little ecosystem. So I've got MSI motherboard in that PC, so I should just really get an MSI keyboard. But because of where my tower is, MSI keyboards, for some bizarre reason, most of them aren't removable USB. They are captive USB, and the cables aren't long enough to go from my desk up to my PC. And yes, I know I could get a USB extension, but it's like, just please, something in my life just go right. I know. Kath went right. She's okay. She did right as well, marry me, obviously. But yeah, it's just annoying. And the thing that makes it even more annoying is the fact that I have got a keyboard here which doesn't exist apparently. I've almost done the video for this. This is a flipping awesome keyboard. I actually got into trouble about mentioning it before, so what the hell, let's do it again. But this is the MSI Strike Pro wireless. So A, it's wireless, so I don't have to worry about it. And B, it's got a detachable USB cable and it's got shine through keycaps. Very, very nice. I like this, and it's part of the MSI ecosystem, so it's a wonderful thing. But I am not allowed to do anything with it until it's actually been released. And as far as I know, I'm going to check now. MSI Strike Pro, I'm pretty sure it's basically either been canned or it's being delayed. Strike Pro wireless. I want the Strike 600, but that's got a fixed USB cable as well, so that doesn't make me any better off than what I've got already with the GK71, which is basically the same design. Strike Pro wireless AI overview. I don't want that. I just want to see if it's available. MSI reveals. So the Strike Pro wireless was actually revealed at CES in January 2024. So over a year and a half ago, or, well, yeah, a year and a half ago, that was when it was initially announced. And they just seem to be taking their sweet ass time to actually get it out into the shops.
Tell you what, we'll store that for them.
And yeah, if you go to their actual website and go to there, so if you go to it, so msi.com, gaming gear, Strike Pro wireless, their support page on msi.com, we're sorry, the page you requested no longer exists. So it had existed. You could get information about it and technical specs, etc. But it's basically gone. They've removed it. Strike Pro wireless. Again, 404 error. So it's like, it's kind of like they're erasing the fact that it even existed, which is really annoying because I would love that keyboard. It's a great one. Other than that, it is. I can't show that on screen actually, can I? Yes, I can. This is the other one, the MSI Strike 600 with the Kel Midnight Pro silent switches. That is freaking awesome. But it's got a captive cable, so I'd have to buy like maybe a 1 meter USB extension, which just annoys me that I'd have to do that. But I might end up having to do that because I really do want to have that keyboard or a different keyboard on my desk. At least if...
So that's why you were chucking coffee over it all day?
Yeah, I've literally been throwing coffee all over my keyboard all day today to try and break it so I can replace it. I haven't actually. I missed that. Arnold says archive.org. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Derek Cannon says, I think custom keycaps in the UK do Keychron keycaps for about 30 quid. Custom keycaps, let's have a look. Custom keycaps UK. Custom keycaps UK. There we go. Keycaps. Custom UK layouts, Corsair. Right, UK layouts, have a look. Do they have south facing? In stock, 18 different types. Okay, that's interesting. We may have found a potential solution here if I can find one that does south facing. Black pudding keycaps from £2.99. I've not seen this site before. It's pretty interesting. Don't seem to have any Keychron ones. Let's have a look. Keychron. If I do a search. Keychron. Create your own Keychron Case 6 keycap set. That's a 75% keyboard.
I'm leaving you in charge of the chat now.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Okay. But that's a good shout. So keycaps, UK layouts, ISO. What have they got in stock? Yellow. Ooh. Actually, south. No, nothing comes up for south. So yeah, I might have to contact them during the week. But yeah, it's very annoying. I know, again, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, first world problems, Mike. But it's just, yes, it's just so frustrating. I've got other keyboards I could use, but I kind of getting used to the K10 Pro. It's got a really nice feel to it. It just feels like a proper keyboard. It reminds me of the old days of like the old IBM clicky clacky ones. So yeah, it's got a nice feel to it. It's just like not being able to see the keycaps, and also in this room the lighting is awful. Kath will attest to that. It is awful, isn't it? And yeah, like in this light here, this keyboard is ace. You can see all the legends. It's fine. You could type away forever and a day. But there's times of the day where, because the sun comes around and sets over that side, it's just, the light is just awful. And you're like Mr. Magoo on the keyboard. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to bore you to death with my my own personal problems, even though they are my personal problems. Question from Nick Barnes. Mike, how many keys in steel pudding set as looked at them for Skylong, but think Alt, Control and Shift keys are missing for mine? I'm pretty sure this comes with all of them and spares.
Do you always think of Adele when you say
Skylong!
Skylong?
In the Skylong! Right, that is what it comes with on the side of the box, if that's ever going to focus. I'll try and hold it still. So that is the full set. So you get the multiple different size keys at the bottom, and also the standard layout, which is above. So yeah, I think these would have been perfect for the Skylong, to be fair. Although, is the Skylong south lit or north lit? I can't remember. I'm going to move that away now. Yeah, I think the GK75 Skylong is actually south facing LEDs. Let me have a look. Skylong GK75 UK. I think it is south. Hot salt Gateron switches. I'm not sure. You might need to. Yeah, Sky resembles that, Mark. You might have to take a look. Just take your keycap off and see if the LED's at the top or the bottom. If it's at the top, those will be fine. If it's at the bottom, might not be so good. Workable, but not so good. Alright, Nick Barnes says, yeah, thanks Mike, the Skylong is north lit and different sizes for alt, control, etc. Razor set had 120 keycaps, but 3 short for me. Might be worth having a look at those then, the SteelSeries ones. I've got the Razor ones as well, and I think they are probably very similar, but although this does seem to have different size alt and shift keys. Sorry, alt and control keys for both sides. Yeah, so you got 120. So you got 105 keys, which are the standard layout, English UK. Plus you got an extra 16 double shot PBTs for the special keys. So if you've got larger or smaller spacebar. So make sure that when you've done your cap change, make sure you're using the right size spacebar, because that might be why you can't get the right size alt keys, because the alt keys are obviously either side of the spacebar. So if you accidentally put the wrong size spacebar, I think in most of these keycap kits both will fit, because they have like the 5 holes on the bottom. So you've got like one in the middle, one at each end, and then another one at each end, so for the different size gaps. So that might be that you've got the wrong spacebar on there. In which case then that's going to mean you need different keycaps for the alt. Mookie MC says, hello all, when did the Pixo 64 come down on the YouTube go back up? I think it was when I swapped over the monitor, so that's probably about 3 weeks ago, it's not very long. When I had the Pixio there with the MSI monitor, because the monitor was a lot wider, it looked all a bit cramped in there, so I removed it, but I haven't put it back. Nick says, damn, never thought of that, thanks Mike. Check it, I might have just saved you some money.
And also,
and your sanity.
Did you ever answer Welly Bob about why you took the monitor down?
Yes.
And you did.
Yeah, the monitor thing, why I took it down, yeah, long story short, for video editing purposes, I ideally need to capture the Windows desktop at 4K, so I can then scale it larger if I need to, for zooming in purposes. So doing that with a 1080p screen, it just leads to really bad fringing, unless you set the bit rates like really sky high, in which case then it affects the storage, and yeah, it's just, again, very much YouTuber first world problems. But yeah, it turned out to be easier. The white monitor, again, they discolor really badly, especially here because the sun comes through and it's got the sun shining in there pretty much all the time, so it kind of goes a funny color. So I thought, yeah, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to damage a perfectly fine monitor, which is a really good gaming monitor, for a monitor which never ever games really, other than when I'm running benchmarks. So yeah, it's a bit of a wasted thing there. Nick Byers says, Mike, totally agree, as when gaming in the dark, cannot see caps. Yeah, it's just so frustrating. With I know there's a benefit of having PBT double shot keycaps, because they're very strong and what have you.
Oh, is that why you never bothered putting the light on?
What, before?
What now?
No, now I should put the light on sooner, because I can't see the damn key.
But you don't. I come in from washing up or something and you still ain't.
I'm here in the dark, just being depressed and thinking, I'd love to be able to see my keyboard, but alas, it's never going to happen.
I'd love for somebody to come in and put the light on for me.
Sinister Chef says, I have the Red Thunder currently. Currently waiting to get an MSI set. Yeah, MSI sets. As that birthday's coming up. Rasher and Charles Ballard. Nice. Nick Barnes says, already sent back and refund used with payment for monitor. By the way, MSI Mag 274 QRFW is amazing for colours. Yeah, they've done a really good job on that. I think if that monitor that I had here was 1440p rather than 1080p, I might have stuck with it if it had that little extra jump in resolution. But yeah, I think 1080p for making YouTube content in 2025 is a little bit challenging. Phil says, I've been running Linux on this computer for nearly a year now. I'm going to have a final little rant, actually, if I may. So, some of you may have seen the video I did on, I think it was Monday, actually, how to debloat Windows. And we've done various ones before, and there'll be more coming out, obviously. Although you don't need to, because you can just buy the Windows Enterprise Edition, TM. Thank you very much. Use discount code Mike's Unboxing 10. Links in... Oh, that's a desk pad. Don't use that one. Use the Premium CD Keys one. Yeah, get your Windows Enterprise licenses. Honestly, it's a really good operating system. Watch the video on Monday. I'll definitely get the video on Monday. Make sure you watch it. What was I going to say? Debloating Windows. Yes, Linux. I keep on getting people, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's getting frustrating, but it's getting a bit, like, thin, where people say, oh, the best way to debloat Windows is install Linux.
I think it was in the chat tonight, somebody said...
I'm pretty sure it's been said so many times.
Back, if they can get hold of that Enterprise, they'll get rid of Linux.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's basically what they don't want.
The telemetry is what drives people mad. Windows itself is an operating system. If you look at it, and if you take, like, iOS, you take Linux, and you take Windows... I would argue that Windows is the more user-friendly and more widely accessible operating system of the three. Now, I may be biased because I've used Windows for the last 20, however many years, 30 years or so. Yeah, it's probably 30 years now, isn't it? No. Yeah, 30 years. So, I've got quite a lot of experience of it. 29-ish. Yeah. I've been using it a while. I've used iOS and it's okay. I can get by and I can just about figure it out, but there's a lot of things in it which are like, just why?
Hey Dave.
Like, they still haven't figured out how to do scaling. Like, Windows is rubbish at scaling, but macOS is, or iOS, or yeah, macOS is worse. Much, much worse. Scaling is horrendous. And like just stupid things like closing a window, it doesn't close. You click on the X and it goes down to the taskbar thing. It does some bizarre things.
You're trying to fob me off on that.
Linux, obviously, on the same side of it, it's like most of it is relatively okay-ish and very Windows-esque in its appearance, much like iOS. It's kind of like somewhere in between the two. But also, there are some kind of really deep things which are relatively difficult to get to without using a command line or knowing your way around the operating system, which isn't always easy. And being that there's so many different flavors of Linux, it means that actually trying to find advice or help on it is actually quite challenging. Now, iOS is better because there's very limited versions, but Windows is somewhere in between. So there's a few different versions and you can get support for it, or you can type in and ask in a question. You can find information about from Windows 3.1 basically up to modern Windows, Windows 11. So it's a little bit easier to support. So, and also not everything runs in Linux. You can use support tools to get other operations or other systems running. I'm trying to think, is it Proton? I think it's Proton, which you use to run Windows emulation in Mac, which is pretty good. And in some instances actually could be better than running it natively on Windows. But again, it's still not natively supporting all of the apps. And eventually that'll come, I guess. But people saying that Linux is better than Windows, I think is disingenuous, because it isn't, and they probably know it. Now, it may be for them in their individual use case, and they may love using it, but if you have been kind of brought up or reared on Windows, you're a PC gamer, and also you're someone who likes to have a little bit of a tweak under the hood, then moving from Windows to Linux isn't as straightforward as a lot of people will have you believe. And those kind of little, kind of cheap throwaway comments, I was like, oh, I'm so smug, I use Linux, I'm fine. You're not. And the only reason you're not fine is because Linux doesn't have a big enough user base for people to actually target it with things like malware, because it's such a small fry. There's basically no point writing viruses. Now, viruses can be got and also distributed on Linux systems, and quite often Linux systems will be used as kind of like zombie systems. So they'll just pass on viruses and they just carry on doing their own thing because they think they're okay. Much like old Windows systems, which just run, and then you realise, why is my system so slow? Oh, because it's got a million viruses on it or loads of malware. So there is definitely that going on to it. Yes, Chrome OS, I've tried that as well actually. I don't mind Chrome OS, but I am fully aware of its limitations. It is very much a kind of a web first experience. But yeah, it's a very similar thing. Chrome OS is essentially like using iOS or Android. Phil Stodd says there no OS is better than another, it's all about preference. Yes, exactly. Zero Defect says Linux is good for a home server, still use Windows as my main system. Yeah, Linux as a core for most operating systems is good, like Linux obviously for Steam Deck. Linux is running at the core of the Steam Deck. Things like Synology. Synology runs on a Linux core. Most NAS on the market use Linux subsystems as the base of their operating system in some way, shape or form. So yes, it is inherently a very stable platform. I will certainly give it that. It is a very stable platform, but to call it a better platform, I would disagree. If it was good, and it was as good as people say, I would be using it. And so would the other 80-90% of PC users which don't use Linux or Mac. Windows has got a massive market share, and there's obviously a reason for that. It's not through marketing. It's not through cost, obviously. So there has to be another reason. And I think that's because it is overall a more cohesive and more intuitive experience. But please feel free to disagree. That is what these live streams are about, and life in general. So yeah, don't worry, you're not going to get banned or kicked off if you disagree with me. I actually welcome it, and it's nice to see other people's opinions. Arnold G says Fedora install hard, Mint easy. I am tempted to try Linux Mint. I've tried it maybe about 2 years ago. Someone said that if you install Mint now, it basically feels the same, but it's just a better system. Or it feels better. Stephen Anderson says Heroic Launcher will load and run Epic Games and GOG. David Andrew says Linux has more malware than people admit. Oh, certainly. Again, it's if you think about it, Mac OS or iOS is based on Linux. It has Linux essentially at the core. So it's kind of, it's hard to say. People, that used to always be the thing. Like, I had a friend that worked at the BBC. If you go to the BBC to work, basically all kind of designers and what have you, they use Macs. It's Mac central, it really is. Whether it be MacBooks, MacBook Airs, Mac desktops, Flasher Macs, they're all in Macs, or wearing or using Macs. And all of them would be like so completely oblivious to the fact that their system was like ridiculously infected, and the only reason they knew is because like their email account would spam out to everybody in their address book, sending out all these emails saying, oh, hey Mike, I've got these pictures, did you want to take a look? And it's like, well, I haven't spoken to you in months, so this obviously isn't genuine. So then you get hold of them and say, did you message me about some pictures? I'm like, no, you're the 5th person to call me. Yes, I've got an infection on my system, blah, blah, blah. And it's, yeah, that is how most people find out, because they are very much kind of thinking that viruses and malware aren't a concern for them. Whereas at least with Windows, they're kind of pretty much up front saying, right, the baseline Windows installation from the factory, out of the box, it will have Windows Defender at the very minimum. It will have Windows Firewall as a very minimum. Windows updates will be turned on as a very minimum. Whereas I don't think, I might be wrong, I'm pretty sure that there isn't a single Mac OS installation that comes with a form of antivirus as a default. I'm pretty sure that's the same for Linux. I would argue the fact though that certain vendors such as Synology, Asus Store and other NAS brands will quite often include the option to install ClamAV, which is an antivirus software suite which you can run on those devices. So at least they're kind of thinking about it a little bit more. So yeah, that is a part of the virus and the malware problem. There's a lot of people, oh, I'm on Linux, or oh, I'm on iOS, I'm immune. You're not. You're just a zombie and you're infecting everybody else as well as yourself. So you should have a look at things.
But also, if you turn all these things off on either systems, how do you know that is actually turning it off?
Yeah, that is
You've
true.
only got like what you believe it's doing. You don't know it's doing that, do you?
That's true. Andy Archer says Linux is so awkward. It says there actually in the chat, Linus is so awkward. So I kind of like that because he kind of can be. But Linux is so awkward, even the update is invariably through the command line in many versions. Yeah, I know, which is it's kind of like, it's a shame. Because Windows actually does do a really good job of an operating system in general. It's just some of the decisions they make are very questionable, like the whole recall thing, Windows updates which fail, etc. The thing is though as well, you have to remember that there is a massive wide range of users that have Windows installed in various different forms, guises and configurations, and everybody wants something a little bit different. So it is tricky to like tick all those boxes, although some things they do just mess up. I'm not a Windows fanboy, but as a computer user, as a computer enthusiast, and as someone who has a YouTube channel and answers lots of technical questions, 100% Windows is a lot easier to use. Somebody asked there about Windows Enterprise. Michael Elliam, is Windows 11 Enterprise better for gaming? Now, I don't have any definitive numbers on that. I had very limited time. I've literally got it on that drive up there, that Arco drive, so I can just pop it back in at a moment's notice. So I will do some testing on that. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure when you got into the chat, but at the very beginning, I did say that it seemed to me at least that it felt snappier. Now, whether it's because there's less telemetry data, so whenever you click on something, it doesn't have to kind of phone home and say, oh, look what he's clicked on. Potentially that might be it. I honestly don't know. But it felt smoother, it felt slicker. It could have been a placebo effect because I was very happy to get it up and running. So I don't have any definitive numbers. I'm sure that somebody out there somewhere has... Bloody flies. I'm sure that somebody out there somewhere has done a comparison between LTSC and Windows, which LTSC is going to absolutely nail it for gaming because it is so stripped back. Enterprise editions, probably not so much. Gosh, I'm getting bitten by shit in here today. Damn things. Anyway, moving on. So, yeah, I don't know. Alexa says she's turned 67 this month. Today, I am as old as I've been. Good. David Underhill says Enterprise Gaming, yes. So, take that as it will. I would imagine it would be faster. I don't think it's going to be like even high single figures, probably low single figures, but certainly I would imagine it is going to be slightly better. Paul Lamont says, I have tried Linux. It doesn't take much to nuke it to the less experienced. Now, yes, I would agree with that. Same can be said for Windows though. I remember when we had our first computer with Windows 95 on it, I killed it in what days was it? It was a couple of days, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah,
A couple of days and it killed it, to the point that
And you were working long hours.
I had to get someone else to, I was working long hours, didn't get much time to use it, did something, and all of a sudden it's like, things aren't working. And we didn't have the internet back then. Is there a mosquito in here or something?
No, it's UK.
Okay. J Rose says using that right now. Cool. Skystalker says, for all its faults, Windows is a good enough operating system. I can't imagine how hard it is to manage the complexity of hardware-software combinations that do backward compatibility. That is definitely a thing. Yeah, so happy belated birthday to Aletta.
She's Taurus like us.
No, she wouldn't be a Taurus, was she? Yeah, she's a Taurus, yeah. Can't remember what it was.
I think. Pretty sure. It was round ours, wasn't it?
Phil Stodd says, my current system boots, dual boots into between LM22.1, so that is Mint, is it? Linux Mint, and Windows 10. Linux uses 30% less resources running the same processes. I can very much... It'd be interesting to see actually how that would compare against Windows 11 Enterprise or LTSC. I'd imagine LTSC would be very close to Linux in terms of background processes. Greg says, got a question. How many Wi-Fi motherboards use antennas that sit on top of the case with a magnetic base versus two cheap screw-on antennas that work themselves loose when you adjust them? It generally is a price thing. So as you go up through the price bands, you get a better aerial. That is kind of the way it works, yeah. If you have a very entry-level motherboard, there's a very strong chance it's going to have just the screw-on antenna. Having said that, I think more of the modern boards are starting to come with like the folding ones or the magnetic ones. But yeah, essentially it's going to be, if you go for like, say something like an ASRock B550 Pro 4 Wi-Fi, it's going to have screw-on antennas for sure. If you go for something like the Jinying B650 Night Devil, screw-on antennas if you're lucky. Some older X570 boards will have it. Yeah, there isn't really a kind of hard and fast rule. Generally, the more you spend, the better the antenna is going to be, realistically. Although I think MSI, for all of their gaming range, have got magnetic antennas separately. I think the office versions, or the kind of entry-level models, like the Dash P, Dash A, Pro M's, that sort of stuff, they will be screw-on. But yeah, I don't think there's a specific hard and fast rule. Letta's birthday was on the 23rd.
Oh, not quite in Taurus.
So you're a Gemini.
Belated happy birthday.
Yes, belated happy birthday.
Not you, Dave.
Nick Barnes, question. How do you reduce the delay between YouTube video and audio through earbuds on Wi-Fi? That is always a difficult thing to do. You'll find with any Bluetooth device, because of the nature of Bluetooth streaming, you will eventually, if you listen long enough, you will get a lag, a very slight delay. And it's not really an inherent thing or a problem. It's just the way that those devices work. Bluetooth streaming is very low latency, but there is always a latency. And because you're running the audio channel as a separate channel from the video, it's eventually going to go out of sync at some point if you listen long enough. You might even find that if you're watching movies. So if you've got a movie on at home, like a JPEG, a MP4 or a DivX, Xvid, all those types of things, if you're doing that over Bluetooth, regardless if you're doing it over the internet or not, it will eventually go out of sync because Bluetooth technology isn't quite as good. If you do it with 2.4 gigahertz on the majority of modern headphones, that latency or lag will be a lot less noticeable, but certainly can potentially be introduced at a later date. It's generally much better. But yeah, Bluetooth is good, but it's designed as being a very low energy and a low bandwidth transmission protocol. So it's also susceptible to interference externally, which can also add lag, even though you don't necessarily notice it. Like, it won't cut out as such. Maybe it will. Like if the Bluetooth antenna and you turn your head and it can't pass through your body because there's weak signal, etc., then you might experience like a microsecond or a micro jitter where you lose a little bit of signal for the audio, and it won't fast forward itself to recover. So eventually, if that continues happening, it's eventually going to go further and further out of sync until the point it gets like crazy. Then you have to basically disconnect or stop the stream or the playback and then start again for it to kind of recover itself. Hopefully that makes sense. Derek Cannon says, please don't mention any more birthdays. I turned 48 yesterday and feel like a Skoda's mud flaps long. Well, happy belated birthday, Derek. 48, that's no age at all. You're just running, or just being running. Okay, I think that is going to be pretty much it. Thanos has just come into the house. Hi guys, coming in here after the Paris Saint-Germain win. Very nice. Greg M. Alright, just reading that, that's good. Andy says, I treat it like a game and each year is an extra level. Yeah, I think you get to a point where you kind of have to start ignoring birthdays and just like, yeah, la, 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 it is what it is. As long as I wake up in the morning, I've got air in my lungs and I can go to the toilet by myself, count it as a blessing, I think. So, I think that is going to be pretty much it. Massive shout out and thanks to all of you that have contributed tonight, and both financially and also from the conversation. It's been great to have you along for the ride. Hopefully you've enjoyed the kind of elongated teardown of the Antec Flux Pro case. Again, not too sure what we're going to do with it. I think at this sort of price point, it'd probably be a good idea for Colin to take it back to scan and either get a credit note or maybe a refund, if that is at all possible. It is completely in resaleable condition, so I don't know. And Colin, if you're still watching, we'll have to figure out something about you coming down and getting this and deciding what you want to do with it. That would be great. And again, massive shout out again to Colin for supplying us with a case to take a look at. Again, hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. It's been an interesting one. It's the search continues for the perfect case, and long may it continue. I just noticed actually my live feed on this the YouTube window is back to about 10 minutes ago. Anyway, very bizarre. So yeah, thanks all for joining us on the stream. If you haven't already, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, come on, do yourselves a favor, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget you can use any of our affiliated links to pick up goodies for yourself, and potentially the projector. If you want to get a little projector for out when you're camping, it's pretty cool. I quite like it. 27 quid. Yeah, you can't go too far wrong for that. And the chances are you could probably resell that on Facebook Marketplace for like 50, maybe 35, 40. You shouldn't be too dissatisfied with it. I actually do need to get out again and check out the sound. Anyway, I'm waffling now. Thanks for watching. Have a great, fantastic weekend. Don't forget the premium CD keys, enterprise keys, and the mouse pads or desk pads. Buy two, get the third one free, or you can get, I think it's 20% or 25% off your entire order if you don't want to spend that much money. So lots of discounts going on, payday deals, all that kind of stuff. Thank you all. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews now too, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks again, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, the button don't work. I didn't program the button. I did all the others earlier, but I didn't do that one. I'm going to have to physically click on a button. First world problems. There we go. Your stream will stop immediately and you'll no longer be live. Sounds good to me. Night everybody. See you next week.